too. No, I think we're good. I think we could see everybody here. I'm gonna do this a little bit because. All right. So today is what day, guys?
July 31st.
Oh, the last day
of the month.
Holy cannoli! It's a busy day. Yes. And we're all here to chat about reunion and have girl talk and friend talk / business talk. Anyways. Okay, so what I was going to talk about, really, since we're on the subject, we'll just get it out of the way. So,
should we introduce ourselves?
I think they know us, don't we? We're famous. Just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm Amy. Liz Blaschko.
Jeanette Kopecky.
Jess Markowitz. Hi, guys. Okay, so in my experience, obviously I see what everybody's doing. And I've talked to Amy about this before, but I really want to emphasize because it's so important that you realize how the way you present your business and the respect you have from your clients and your consistency is so much more powerful than somebody doing $2,000 in a month, not representing or following up with their clients, do you know what I mean? You represent Scenty, the way the company wants. If they had 1 million of consistency Amy's like you that cared about your product, you learn about your product, you market your product, do you know what I'm saying? You use your product and you follow up with your people and you know what you want. That is the biggest struggle with every consultant, is that they want this, but they're only willing to do this. Mm-hmm. Or they want this, but then they're shooting for the stars and then they get overwhelmed. And so their psychological is like all over the place. You know what I mean? They're like, go, 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 go. And all of a sudden they have all this responsibility and they're like, well, wait a minute, I don't really want to have to call my clients. And I have all these clients in the beginning, and then they have like $5,000 launch party with like all these clients. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I have to like follow up. Like, they're not just going to call me and let me know that I need Scenty. And so I just, I see that because we're all so close, like she told me she doesn't feel like, and we're all friends here, she doesn't feel like she should be a part of this. What? Right? And it's just because because your goal isn't to be a director, at least now or whatever, or maybe to add never, which is fine.
And that's the blessing within Scenty, is that you get these challenges brought to you inadvertently. You know, like I was training a girl yesterday and she's like, well, I don't want to really do it for business. It's just for Jay and I to order stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said, put a party on your online, because you never know. Somebody's going to Google or want to know what the closest Scenty person is to them, and they're just going to want to place an order. Mm-hmm. And you may even get a consultant that way. I've heard of stories of people just getting consultants.
The last few months lately, that's been happening
randomly. And then so all these things happen, and then all of a sudden you're blessed with leading other people, not only in this journey of business, but in their journey in their lives as well. So
absolutely.
And you have a lot to offer, Amy.
Well, that's what I tell her. I'm like, not only I know that she's a good friend of your guys, she's one of my best friends. I'm very lucky. This business has brought the most amazing, beautiful women into my life that, you know, you go from, a lot of people live their whole life saying, like, they can't even really say, do I have a real friend? Do you know what I mean? That I can talk to, that I can confide in, that I can say I'm not perfect, that I can
be honest about it.
Yeah, and give you constructive criticism and, you know, be there for you if you're in a hard time. And I've never, and to me, that's more valuable than, and I think it's because it's a business and the way it's structured is like your people, and remember yesterday, below you, we went to this seminar or whatever, and this lady's like, you shouldn't talk about, and we know that, you guys are my partners, just because, you know, I sponsored you or you sponsor your people, we're all in this together. But I think the subconscious level, the people that you sponsor think that you have this expectation of them. And I guess I worry that you think that you don't know that it's you. It's not what you're doing with your business. Do you know what I mean? The only thing I want from you is for you to be happy and you to be enjoying what you're doing. And of course, because I love you as a friend, I want you to have as much as possible and that this company provides. You know what I mean? Like when I go to Disney World, I want all of you there with me. I don't want to be by myself again. You know what I mean? That's it, because I want the people I love with me. Do you know what I mean? I want us all to have these memories together, not just because it's gonna make me more money or anything. Because honestly, as long as there's food in the refrigerator and there's a roof over my kids' heads, that's all I care about. Do you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, the traveling for free is friggin' awesome, and I love it. But I mean, that's not. And I guess I wanted to challenge myself, because it's something that I've been worried to ask her. And I wanted to do it in front of everybody, because it's been scaring me. Like, do you feel that, like, is there something as your friend and sponsor that you feel like I have some type of expectation of you or disappointment in you? Because you even said you said it kind of, you're going to call out that I didn't make my goals. And that breaks my heart that you think that. Like, I don't even.
I'll be honest with you, when I first started, I kept thinking, okay, she's only looking at my numbers. She knows what I'm doing and all this stuff. And then it took a while to realize she's not my boss. And, you know, that's what I have to kind of wrap my head around. I guess in some ways I kind of feel like, yeah, there are some expectations that you get. You always tell me you're a good leader. You can do this, you can do that.
Sure,
but like I've said before, I don't see that yet. I do what I do, and I'm happy with what I'm doing. And yes, I could be doing more, and I should be doing more. I'm just not. I mean, I was telling you, one of the months I was literally $60 away from my 500 mark, and I had a $60 order, but I didn't have enough for free shipping, so I didn't put it on. I wanted my client to get free shipping, and I knew the first of the month I was going to have another order. So
Yeah.
That was a business decision.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the beauty of your business.
That's the
is
beauty
that-
of you and
Yeah.
how you think and cycle things through.
And she's not throwing money out of her pocket.
I was just gonna say.
Orville Thompson talks about that all the time.
Yes,
Don't
he
use
does.
family money for Scenty. Use Scenty money for family.
see, and that's what we did for the longest time. Is I was like, oh, we're only $25 away. Oh, we're only $60 away. Let me put it in and get it.
Because that's your giving heart.
Yes.
That's your giving heart, and that's who you are, and that's
It's not a bad thing, but
and that's what brought you to Scenty as well. You know what I mean?
I want
Because
to
you
also
wanna be
say
giving.
something. I want to say something too. What you just said was really, really awesome. For the fact that you said that that's what you used to do.
Oh yeah.
There's been a lot of changes, honestly, in my life and with my situation, with what I'm going through. And in the very beginning, I was gangbusters buying Scenty all the time. I mean, I racked up a credit card.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
I
not
did
gonna
too.
lie. I racked up a big credit card, and so it's a huge chunk for us to be able to swallow. We're now dealing with the consequences of that, you know, and it takes time. So, you know, at the beginning of the year, I had this huge epiphany about myself, about my business, about my relationship with my husband, about our family, and I really made the decision that, you know what, and I'm not gonna lie, I had achieved certain sales goals for the month, not legitimately, as far as I'm concerned, legitimately with selling the items to the customers. I was putting my own money into it.
That's what we were doing.
And-
I didn't achieve goals like that, but yeah.
But I mean, my own personal goals that I had. And so at the beginning of the year, I was like, you know what? I am no longer doing that. And if you come to my house right now, everybody's like, they're so used to me having huge stock and everything, that when they come over, they're like, that's it? I'm like, that's it. And I'm not going to be
Order it.
buying anymore. That's right. I'm
Tell me
like,
what you want, order it.
if I have it, you can take it and buy it. If not, then we'll get it in. It'll take a few days, you know, whatever, however, a week, whatever. But I really, really had to, and that was one of my biggest aha moments for me. It was like a double-edged sword, where I did not end up going to Spring Sprint, because that was my reckoning time. That was my time that my husband and I had to come to a point, and it still even makes me emotional to think about it, because I wanted to go to Spring Sprint. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. And I still feel guilty that I didn't go, but I went to reunion, I'm happy.
Yes.
But
Yes.
at
It
the
was
same
a
time,
sacrifice.
And
It was
Jason was at
huge.
reunion.
Absolutely.
And your kids. So
and that's what I'm saying, is that we cycle through our moments in life. We cycle through those times, and we do what we have to do. And sometimes we have to make really hard decisions. I've made myself my bed, and I'm being responsible, as far as I know how, to be able to take care of that. And nobody else needs to know about it, because I'm so open with sharing my life. Everybody knows about it. But, you know, there's times when maybe you're not that way. Maybe you don't need to share that with other people. Maybe that's something personal for yourself that you know you need to accomplish for yourself. And so, you know, it's really crazy, and I can understand, and this is a lesson for me with my team members too, is that I understand where I want to be. And even when I took some of my team members to reunion, they actually went, you know, I was like so excited thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to get this connection. They're going to get this connection. When in reality, it's not for me to say.
Right.
That's for them to be able to choose. And you know, there were a couple of situations where I was just like, okay, it wasn't how I set it up in my mind, but we have to be okay with those things. And just because I'm doing it a certain way doesn't mean that somebody else has to do it a certain way. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, because the way that they enhance my life when we do get together, it is like it's priceless. It's priceless what they add to my life and what I add to theirs. And as time goes on and we walk further and further in life, things change. Things happen. Maybe they don't change. Maybe they stay the same. But you know, I really think it's awesome, Amy, because I remember when I very first met you. I'm gonna get emotional. I just remember the very first time I met you, and it was you were sitting on the couch, and I was like watching her. I even told Jess, I go, she's super cool. I go, there's something about her that really strikes me, and I really. Like, I look to you and I almost get nervous because I'm like, okay, you got it so together. No, I'm
greatness.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm not lying here. I almost get a little bit nervous because I'm like, okay, I almost feel like, okay, she knows to do the right thing, and I'm not the kind of person to do the right thing all the time.
See, she makes me nervous too.
Like, you have that quality. I don't read every single little thing that Scenty sends us to, you know, update ourselves with. I probably read it when I need to read it, like when I have to read it. Like, oh shit, somebody's asking me this.
No, but I mean,
but that's why everybody has different strengths, and that's why I cling to all of you, because you all have things that I don't have, and I think it's amazing. And I literally spent more than half my life thinking I had to be perfect, thinking I had to be good at everything, and I would try to cover up if I wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, if I made a mistake, I wouldn't let anybody know it, and I, you know, make up some big old. Now it's like, I'm not good at that, but Amy is. And it feels so good to be able to, like they were saying at reunion, Sally Hogson, not her, that we just need to be good at who we are, and so like it's nice to finally be able to admit. I know what I'm good at. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm not good at a lot of things.
That impacted my life hugely.
Isn't that
to
huge?
hear her and
to
how
be
she
able
did
to
that.
release
Yeah.
that?
Both of them.
Yes, they were amazing.
I wish our kids.
Well, mine were, and I was so mad because my son was like zoned watching, and I was falling asleep, but he's at the age that he was like, he really does listen to everything. And then my mother-in-law was like, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, ah! But I mean, he got some of it. But that's one thing that we have to think about. Our kids are exposed to things that if we weren't in Scenty, they would never be able to be. Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so at Heather's party, last weekend, Aliana went with me, and we did the party, and I was talking to the guests that were there about what Scenty's done to me and how important and how wonderful it was to be able to take my kids to reunion.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's your turn to cry.
You must be ready to start your period.
I know, I am too. It's around my time. We're all going to be like,
I was talking about how important it was, and Aliana was at the party. So I said, honey, would you mind sharing what you learned? And she couldn't even talk. She just started crying.
oh.
Her tears just started coming down, and she couldn't even catch her breath. And it's one of the ladies that was sitting next to her said, it was that good, huh? And she was like, yes. And all she said was, I want to see my mom on stage.
Oh my God.
Are you guys going to Nashville next year?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I just got chills.
Oh, yeah.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel good to know that when we were down there dancing and I was acting like an idiot, like bumping her and like dancing with her.
I think she was still taking it.
I think she was too, but she was looking at me like, what is wrong with you?
But you know what? That's what our kids are going to grow up. This is life. This is the way they see life. That you're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to have things to
And
look
just because you're
forward
old
to.
doesn't mean that you can't have fun.
Yes, and you don't have, and life isn't going to work and coming home and being like, hump day. Oh, FML my life. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's not the way life has to be. And we're showing our kids that.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? And then they're going to influence people because of their happiness and their confidence that they're growing through what we're showing them.
Every time people post that, thank God it's Friday, and I comment, I put, every day is a Friday with me, my Scenty. My Scenty life.
That picture was awesome that you posted yesterday too. Guess who we got to meet with today?
Oh, I love
that. I'm going to take a picture of it and I'm going to put it on my wall.
Oh yeah, I totally got to put that.
That was
With
awesome.
the beach and the
Yeah, I love that.
I loved it.
love
That was perfect.
You're so on that. I like zone them. I don't even hear it anymore. Seriously, I don't even hear my kids.
No, but back to the whole topic. I hear where you're coming from because that's a huge lesson
Well, there's
for
just,
me.
Yeah. What?
What
What are we talking about? I said
we
a
were
lot of
talking
stuff.
about Amy.
It is about Amy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't want to.
I just want to make sure that we were on the
I
right.
didn't want to keep, going back to her because I know that she probably
No,
is
but I
ready
just
to move
it breaks
on.
my heart because she's one of my best friends and I love her, and to see that she doesn't feel that she has an equal contribution to this, like to me it wouldn't be the same without you.
Yeah, I
Do you know what I'm
absolutely
saying?
I was
agree.
bummed when you said you had to come on Saturday. I'm like, do I make time on Saturday to go because I have to go train a couple?
I was so happy
And
when
then I was like, I can't make it on Saturday.
I know.
That's why I was like, I'm so glad
I did because she's like, oh, it's the first day back for them. I'm gonna be with the kids, and I'm like, well, my kids really want to see your kids. I didn't even go like, and I really want to see my friend, but my kids really want to see their kids. and then she goes, what time tomorrow? And I was like, yay! But she was strong. She's like, if I get my work done, and I'm like, okay.
And you know how we have like this whole idea about how other people view our situation or whatever. I mean, I'm just gonna let you know from me personally that anything that I ever do in considering our little group that we have, not once have I ever considered myself personally, not once have I ever considered that you were out for any reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, this probably doesn't mean anything, but I mean, because I pray every morning for our team,
Right.
and the 4 people that I pray for is your family, and Joe's family. The 4. That's, I mean, there's no, I should probably pray for other people, but I have enough time to pray for the 4 of us. That's what's important.
Well, hey, that took us down to everybody else.
We obviously have long lists for you.
I'd be there all day. I'd be just in prayer all day long. So.
But no, there's a reason why certain people clean together. Do you know what I mean? And we're so lucky that we're all right here. Like there's a lot, like for a long time, it was just me and Heather that had the same like connection on a friendship level and business mindset of loving Scenty. And
I'm sure she feels left out.
and I asked her, she said she had to work today. So she's like, I'm telling my job this. She's like, screw this. After she came over for you, she's like, I'm just working 1 or 2 days a week. That's it for my discount. So her going to work somewhere else is her extra money and her discount. Instead of people doing it for their side, like Scenty for their extra money and discount, this is her full-time job and that's her extra money discount.
Well, do we need to take advantage of her discounts?
Right?
What did she do?
Tier 1.
I
know.
I almost went to work for them
Oh,
before I went to Bath and Body Works.
But she's learned a lot about herself with Scenty. I mean, with Pier 1 and with people. One thing, and she'll be fine with me sharing this, is that she said that they were doing I guess they do powwows every morning and scenarios as far as people coming through the door and what you're going to talk to them. Like, what would you say if they said this? And then you have to critique the person the way they respond. And one thing that she said that they critiqued about her is that she always gave her opinion instead of asking more questions to see what they would like. And she said that was like the hugest aha moment. Because when you think about it, we all obviously we like what we like. Yeah. And so, I think this is great. I think this is what, this is what I use. When you think about it, they can be totally opposite than you and be like, yeah, totally not my style. You know what I mean? They're like,
and then that completely shuts them off.
They're like, thanks, okay, I'll look around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny for me because the first question I always ask them is, what type of smells do you like?
Good. That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
That's very important. That's probably why you have such a consistent, loyal clientele. Because it's about them, not you.
Exactly.
And and to be honest with you, everybody in this kind of any sales business, subconsciously, we all have goals. So we're all trying to meet those goals for our family, as well as for what's expected of us, or we think that's expected of us. So we're always just trying to do, okay, I know that this works because of my testimony, or that I like this, so it's easier and you have more confidence to talk about it. Instead of, because you know how a lot of people, there's a new consultant, I'm not going to throw her under the bus, but she knows what she's talking about. She is the most, she'll smell, oh my God, this is, whoa, oh, ew, why did they do that? I'm like, honey, you're gonna have to hold that back, because that might be somebody's favorite fragrance, and you're gonna hurt their feelings. So it's more, and I'm like, okay, so it's more about them and not you. Now it was different when I was your consultant and you could tell me how much you hated stuff and whatever. But now that you're the person selling, you're gonna have to realize that somebody that's in front of you might remind them of their great grandmother, and they fall in love with it, and then you're telling them how disgusting it is, and that hurts their feelings. You know what I mean? So it really does have
a unique scent.
Yeah, not my preference,
not everybody's favorite,
not
but
my favorite, but
I find it's easier to ask people what fragrances are you not fond of, and then that just narrows it down to okay, now I can go on this.
Absolutely. What do you hate? Because I don't want you. Because here's the thing. That's why people don't realize that the categories are so important, to break them down into categories.
Yep.
Because it's more likely for them to pick up 5 that they hate, and then they're turned off. But if we narrow it down and say, okay, what do you hate? What do you love?
Yeah.
What do you normally? What's in your house right now? What's on your body right now? What fragrance? So then you can, as the consultant, consult them and be like, all right, let's try this first.
Yeah.
So they're not picking up something, like they hate food scents, pick up blueberry cheesecake and be like, because our product is a psychological thing, it can really turn them off, because there's so many other fragrances they are like discouraged to. Inside voices!
Christopher.
I know, right? Well, they were drilling the other day, and he was fine. I'm just
Drilling.
Thank
they
you.
were building.
Tell Christopher.
Oh, drilling.
Drilling.
His
I
mom
thought
was
you
good.
would say drilling.
Look.
Like left, right, left.
I'm like, there's anyways, so it's really about just getting to know people and and that. It's weird. I never heard the expression until Allie's karate instructor said it, that we have 2 ears for a reason, to listen more and only 1 mouth, because you're supposed to listen more than talk, and ask simple questions in order to get them to talk. And that was just huge for me, because you hear it, but I never heard it in that way, and apparently it's very.
It's because they're right here
okay.
and not in the bedroom.
Gotcha.
Oh, don't worry, it's fine. Yeah.
If not, he'll come home.
Oh, he will. Oh, yeah, and then that'll
sit on the couch.
yeah, and that'll be that, and that'll be that. I don't know. What were we talking about?
We were talking
Right.
2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yes,
and then
yes, yes.
2 ears.
Yes. And I have noticed that I will tell you that I found this about myself, is that I did talk a lot more than listen for a long time in my life, because I just always had something to say, and I still do. But and I still do. But now I enjoy listening more. I really do, because I realize how much you really do learn about people. Like it's weird that I didn't know that before. It was just always like I wanted to I want you to know what I have to say and what I think, and I realized it was a lot about me. Life was about the Jessica show for a long time, and I didn't realize it wasn't intentional. It wasn't like me thinking because I had low self-esteem, which is such a weird dynamic, right? Because low self-esteem people usually don't have a lot to say.
Overcompensating.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
It's funny because my wax lady that I go to, neither one of us are talkers. So we have our fun little conversation, and then we both just kind of sit there, and she keeps waxing, and I look at her and I say, should I be talking, or are you okay? There's like this no uncomfortable side. Yes. No, it's fine. And I'm like, all right, cool.
I'm good too.
So then we end up talking about other stuff, but that's just always something that I think of, because there's always this silence when I'm around, because I'm not a talker.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
You're a good
My
listener.
brother is the talker in the family.
Oh, really?
So, to the point of, he was getting in trouble in school, and when I came up behind him, they're like, oh, you're Jason's sister. And I'm like, yep. You're not gonna hear a peep out of me.
They stereotyped you thinking you're gonna be blah 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 too.
That was me. I was named Bionic Big Mouth in school.
What? Really? My
No, it's not a shocker.
my family called me the voice.
I was Bionic Big Mouth. I'm trying to remember which teacher named me Bionic Big Mouth. That was my name. Bionic Big Mouth.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have a lot to say.
Hey, it's close to like a superhero.
Yes,
Being Bionic is
Bionic.
superhero-ish, right?
Superwoman.
That's right.
Okay, since I'm the only one that has my notes, let's dive in because the title of this J3LAH was Reunion Thoughts or whatever, or take-ins. I'll start it and then it'll probably get your guys' stuff going. So let's see. So, okay, one personal goal to achieve by next year and one professional goal, and then tell 3 people. Well, you are my 3 people. So I'm going to tell you what my goal is, my personal goal. My personal goal is to become healthier, meaning I'm going to make time for, like, commit. Because I used to literally before Mitch came around, and he knows this, it's just because now I have something else to focus on. But when it was just me, I would, no matter what I had going on in my life, if I didn't go to the gym that day, I literally would go to the gym at like 1 o'clock at night, even if I had to be up for school at 7 o'clock in the morning or something, or 3, whatever. Like, that was just a part of my health, and I know that it really helped me mentally. And even though I know this, I wasn't ready to do it again because my body is so far behind what it used to be that it's so much harder now. And I finally accepted that I'm not 22 years old anymore. I'm really out of shape, and it's going to take me a long time, and it's going to be a slow process, but I wasn't ready for that because every time I go back to the gym, I would start doing things like I was 20 again because you think
You're in that mindset.
you have that energy and that strength. And like about a month ago, I went back to the gym and I was doing these type of sit-ups that, like, advanced sit-ups, and I felt like my stomach was going to rip apart.
Yeah.
And my friend Rachel, who's an actual bodybuilder, I was like, what is this? She goes, Jess, you're ripping your muscles. I hope you stopped. I was like, yeah, it kind of hurt so bad I had to. She's like, you need to develop. She's like, you probably don't have any muscles. Yeah, like, I have no stomach muscles anymore. And I've always had really strong stomach muscles, to the point that when my doctor, after I gave birth to Mason, he was like feeling around and stuff. He's like, wow, you've got some really strong muscles in there. And I'm like, just had a baby. That's how strong I used to be. And so I think my psychological just wasn't ready to be, my brain has always been, I'm a healthy, fit person, and I'm not anymore. I mean, I may not look like totally out of shape, but what my body's used to, it's totally gone. So that's my commitment and my personal goal by next year, is that I want to feel confident in a bathing suit, not for anybody else, but for me, because that's just, because obviously you're exposed, and that means I will be healthy. Because obviously when you're, you're not healthy if you have areas that you're not confident about, because that means you're not eating right and you're not, you know what I mean? It just represents in my brain that I'm going to be working out, and you know what I mean? I don't have to have a 6-pack or anything. I want to be healthy. And then my professional goal is to continue to assist all of you to achieve whatever goals that you want in order to get us all to the next step. Does that make sense? So I need to be better at breaking down and really finding out what each individual is looking to do, like, at that time.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, I know you two are going to be directors, but okay, what do we need to do right now in order to get to that next step, to get you to that next step? Right. Thing. And that's why I decided to pull this out, because awesome. This is literally, I mean, and I'll just go over it really fast. What is your current title? And you have to fill this out, it's like a contract. How long have you been in your current title? How many months in a row have you been paid off your title? Please indicate which months they were. Does not matter how long ago this was. What title were you paid at in December, January, and February? How many personal recruits did you recruit in December, January, and February? And these dates were because the start of
January.
Okay, so what we'll be doing is May, June, and July.
Gotcha.
Because those are actually the ones that we really want to focus on. Because I always tell you how those are the hardest. So that's when you really want to be bumping your business and working your business really hard. What is the rank of the highest person on your team? Why did you join Scenty? Please separate sheet. I started reading, I'm like, wait a minute. How long, it's been a while since I wrote this. How long have you been in Scenty? What are your goals with your Scenty business? Why do you want to be an independent Scenty family director? And what will it do for you? Like what, just, you know, what does being a director mean to you type thing? Yeah.
The only reason I want to do this.
Yes.
I'm so looking forward to
Tell me how fun that will be if all of you guys get to go to boot camp together. And you guys get to room together.
Seriously. I was watching it because I watched a little video about boot camp the other day and I was like,
See, I told Jess this, and the only reason that I would want to become director is because I would get to go up and I would get to do the behind the scenes, and that's what I am. I'm a hands-on. I want to load my own box. I want to.
So
that's
much fun.
awesome. That is
And see how the wax is actually processed, and you get to see the train come in from Canada and all the hook up to the big huge drums and the wax being poured. It's amazing, and all the oil being. It's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. I always say, I'm like, you're waiting for Oompa Loompas to start dancing.
I had the chicken dance going the other day because it was National Chicken Day or something.
They are so fun. I'm like, and it's funny. Somebody asked me if you could work anywhere and but you'd have to not be a Scenty consultant anymore. What would you? I said the only place I'd ever work is the home office. Yep. That's it. Because I wouldn't feel like I'm working for someone. I respect the people they are, and they make it such a happy environment, and it's a real team environment.
You know, that's funny that you say that because I've met a couple of people that are not even, they're just like random customer type of people, and they've said, oh yeah, my brother-in-law, or I know a friend that worked for Scenty, and I was like, really? I was like, so tell me, you know, what their experience, and every single time, I think I've met like two separate people, and each time they both said, amazing company.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and this is not because they're biased.
Yeah.
You know, it's because they truly are like people that know that Scenty is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's
crazy.
Yeah.
So I might as well just read it all because it's not that much more. Okay. How often do you train yourself through training calls or the training center? How often do you train yourself with other avenues of training for your business? Please list the avenues and how they have helped you. What are you willing to do to train your team and assist them to achieve their goals? And represent generosity, selflessness to put them before you. Are you willing to train your group with the skills you believe you implement in your business that you believe have made you as successful as you've been? What title do you want to achieve in 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months? What is your deadline that you will promote to director by? You have to commit yourself to when you were going to do that. And Heather did January, and our program started in September, and she made it by November.
wow.
It is important to hold yourself accountable and give yourself a time frame in order to take action. What drives you to succeed? A lot of people don't even know that until the question's asked. They have no clue what really actually drives them to accomplish a goal or whatever. What are the top 3 things you need help with in your business? Are you aware that there are going to be 2 calls a month and weekly homework to graduate from this program? So I'm actually going to do a weekly.
Weekly calls?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to do weekly. But the thing is that 2 are going to be mandatory because I realize that, you know what I mean, I'd rather you be working your business than training to do your business.
Are they going to be preset dates?
Yes,
Okay.
it's going to be like the
First Monday of the week or whatever.
Yes, so
Okay.
you always know. Are you committed to the time that it's going to take to do that? In 50 words or less, why should you be selected for this program? Because I have people say, I'm gonna invite people into the program that aren't, you know, obvious, supposed to be in here and see how committed they are. I will tell you, even though they didn't promote the director, a lot of people that invited them in, they definitely changed their business mindset by a difference, and they're still that's one thing I can say is the people that have been in this program are still at the company and doing fairly well. And then you can decline it. And then also there's some people that said, I think I added it. This is another one, but I added it that they declined this program, but they want to be invited back to the next program. So here's the thing. Thank you.
Somebody up there.
Oh.
Hey, guys, listen to me very carefully. Mitch is sleeping.
Oh, you forgot you sleeping?
He starts back on day shift next week, right?
Wednesday, yeah.
So, okay.
Anyways, so with you, like, well, because you want to go to boot camp, that's never going to happen unless you, you know what I mean? So I have a question. Do you have a goal of like, or a deadline that you'd like? And when you just sit back and think, I want to go to boot camp, do you think like, I'd like to be there by next day?
Yes. Next 10 years, I'll be there.
You'll be there.
I have to be honest because when we started, Ryan was the one that said, if you don't do it, I will.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right away, it was like, I felt like there was all this pressure because he's like, well, if we can get this business up and running by the time I retire, then I don't really have to go back to work and we've got this business going.
Yeah.
And for the first 4 months, it was like this go, 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 go. And I've talked to Jesse about this before and even with Joe. And it's just like, it was so slam, bam, thank you, ma'am. Let's keep moving. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. It just completely
burnt you out.
It burned me out. I'm like, I don't want to do this. It wasn't I can't. It was I don't want to do this anymore.
She wanted to actually quit.
Yes.
For some
Like
reason.
completely,
Yeah.
because she was so overwhelmed.
And it just, I felt
Was
like
it just recently or?
no, this is when I started.
Okay.
It was kind of like I felt a little bit of pressure from you, and it probably wasn't intentional, but it was just, you can do this, come here, do all of this stuff, and I'm just like,
It's a lot.
It is.
and for me not having that, I mean, I've worked from home since 2005. I have a routine. This is what I do. This is what I do.
Right.
And it was so hard for me now to have all of this other thing. I'm like, and I'm sorry, but that's true. I'm not.
That's good
Like,
for them to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm not the person. I've been invited to many different parties. And I'm not, okay, first of all, I'm not interested in that. I know nothing about that. I don't want to go. And then,
She didn't even want to come to my Scenty party.
no, she invited me to Embrace Bell. She invited me, I think we invited me to 3 different Scenty parties. And then I finally came. And part of the reason was because my first encounter with Scenty was not good, and it was another year after, because it was 12 was the first one, and then it was 13 when I joined. But I just felt like I don't want to do this. I just need to take a step back, and I got through, and I really enjoyed it. And when I found out about Director Boot Camp and being able to load your own stuff, I'm like, that would be really cool. But my mindset's not to that. Oh, that means I need to go out and talk to people and,
Right.
offer it. And whenever I'm with someone, with a client, with a guest at a party, I always say, you can join. Like my mom, I was just up in Minnesota getting our kids. My mom's neighbor, I was just telling Jess about this. She, my mom is a huge supporter. I have tried to get her to join. She finally told me, she goes, I don't want to deal with the money. I don't want to deal with putting orders in. That's what she doesn't want to do. I said, okay, fine. That's not a big deal. So she has a Scenty mom shirt. She has a Scenty sweatshirt. She has,
And she's gone to events with you
yeah,
too.
she went to Spring Sprint with me. Her neighbor was out, and she was walking back from my brother's house because they live right around the corner from each other. And Annie comes up to her and goes, do you sell Scenty? And my mom goes, no, but my daughter does. Let me get you a catalog. She's like, oh, okay. So I had already left. This was when we dropped the kids off in June. And when I came back from an appointment on Wednesday, and we walked into the house, and Annie comes walking over and
Running over.
she says, yeah. She goes, Vicky, is that your daughter? Is she the one who sells Scenty? And my mom goes, yeah, come on in. The first thing out of my mom's mouth was, Annie, you can join Scenty for $49 until the end of the month.
Yay, Mom!
And I'm like, oh, that's
You're like, yeah, what she said.
She's like, yeah, that too.
It was funny though, because when I told her when we got there, I said, you can join for $49 until the end of the month. And immediately she thought of Amy. Amy is a prior teacher. She's got a lot of friends. So anyway, long story short, she ends up ordering two 6-packs, a warmer, and a wrap. And I happened to have a party already started, so I gave her the party. And I said, well, here, everything's going to come to you. Do you want another half-price item? Well, sure. So she ordered another 6-pack. Then I said, well, you have one more half-price item if you want it. She's like, well, sure, I'll take another one. And I said, just think about it. If you know any friends that want to order, if you decide to join, it's $49. It's basically half the kit that you get. And, she said, well, I'll think about it. And then my mom's like, so do you know anybody else? Does anybody else, use Scenty? She goes, oh, yeah, my mom does, my grandmother does, my cousin does, my sister does. I'm like,
You're like, honey.
no, all you have to do is put 150 in every 3 months to stay active. I mean,
But then you're her and her family.
Well, yeah,
She
yes.
ordered.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but it was just funny with my mom, though, that she's just like, oh, did you know you can join? And that's how my mom is. But
Is she gonna join? I'm dying to know.
I know. I'm like, she's
No,
gonna go home and
it's
she's
like
gonna get it. She's gonna get an online when she gets home. She's gonna get a notification that she
that
joined.
would be awesome.
I know.
But I just was kind of like, okay, well, we'll get this order in and I'll get it shipped. I'll let you know when it's shipped. It's already posted that it's shipped, so I've got to call her today and say, hey, it's gonna be there Monday or Tuesday, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't push to people. And then I see you this week, and I've seen posted 3 people that are joining.
Five.
Four.
Well, 5, but if 4 directly under me and 1 is under one of my recruits.
Okay.
So 5.
So I look
That's
at
right.
it and I'm
I
like,
say five.
I'm so happy for you guys, and I'm just going, what am I doing wrong? But I'm not out there. But what my whole point of my story was, now that I've talked for 5 minutes, I went to the global breakout. One of the global
Yeah,
breakouts.
international.
It was, yes.
Yes.
It was,
I love Ryan.
I wanted to go. I didn't get a
no,
chance.
it wasn't with that one. It was with the first one.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So we went,
And-
but at a different time.
What was so cool about it was it sounded like my story. She goes, I joined, I did awesome for the first 4 months. They said Canada opened up, and she's like, yes, Canada's opening. I'm gonna get all of these people and they're gonna join my team and all this stuff. And she goes, a year and a half later, and I finally got someone. And I'm like, okay. So it's not every story is like yours, which I know. And it's funny because I tell Brian, I said, I have no stories. Like,
Not yet.
no.
You're writing your
but
story, but you don't even know.
That's not a story. This is your story.
Well, no, but I mean, like, in general, like, Ryan is military, he's been deployed, he comes back, he has all of these stories. My aunt and my uncle, they have all of these stories, and I'm like, I don't have any.
You
I
just
have
said your
nothing.
story right now.
Okay, see, that's not.
Let
I
her
don't look
let
at
her
it that
speak,
way.
let her
But
speak.
No. It just, I feel like, okay, so I joined Scenty in 13. Right away, I had two friends join. The one friend had her sister-in-law join. She's still on my team. I got another one, and now it's just kind of slowed down. But I know it's partially my fault because I'm not contacting people. I have friends that say, oh, I've thought about it, and then I contact them and nothing happens. And I'm like, okay, and it doesn't deter me, but I'm just like, I'm just going to kind of keep going at my steady pace. And people, like everybody says, they're watching you. They see what you're doing, stuff like that. So,
when you talk about a story, there's so many times, like even with my story, I wrote my story and it's my story. But even when she was asking the question of, what was the one that you were saying people questioned? What is the
What
purpose?
motivates you for your
What
success?
is it that drives you? I go blank with a lot
Yeah,
of things,
so do I.
Amy. I
That
go
drives you
blank.
to succeed.
I mean, honestly, most people would be like, what? You really don't know? Because of
I don't know.
the way I speak and the way I'm so outgoing. So even though I have that type of personality, doesn't necessarily mean that I have it either. So what I do is I just fake it till I make it. And I mean, I just throw it out there and then I shoot for it and then I always rewrite it. Like I go back and I rewrite it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. So when you're talking about your story, I mean, I think sometimes ourselves, we're so focused on our families and everybody else that it's very hard for, I mean, we can see their stories. I could write everybody else's story, no problem. That is not a problem for me. But when I sit back and I try to look at something personal within myself, I don't know if it's that I go blank sometimes, or if it's that I focused on other people for so much that maybe I just don't know.
That's the issue in society, you know that, right? If people would focus on themselves more and get to know what they need and more about what drives them, what inspires them, what turns them on, what everything, and didn't focus so much on everything else, there wouldn't be so many. I mean, it's a generation thing. Our kids, if they're watching what we're doing. And if all we're doing is focusing on them, they grow up thinking that's their focus.
That's
and
what
that
they need to do. If the cycle
are nothing.
continues. Yeah.
And so it's so important to realize that, you know, you have to take time for yourself to understand what excites you, what upsets you, what are you good at, what are you bad at. And that you don't have to be good at everything, because I think moms, the mommies in us, we try to make everything better. We try to fix everything. And that's why a lot of our children grow up thinking that there's something wrong with them because, I don't make everything better like mom did. And do you know what I mean? And they grow up having this expectation of the way everything was, but the reason why is because mom pushes everything away from her and focuses everything on the children. And they say you prosper where you focus, right? So the mother's focusing on their children and making everything okay and making everything revolve around the children. Meanwhile, there's an energy that's being passed on to those kids because the mom really hasn't been able to have that pure happiness of getting to know themselves and understanding what it's like to enjoy being in their own skin. I know that's really complex, but it's really the truth.
And it is. And I will definitely say too that the reason why, I mean, in taking a look at what I can remember when I was a really little girl, and the things like nothing in my life ever really made sense. Like I always thought I was the awkward kid because I was so different than everybody else. And I was always just like, you know, where all these other girls were like getting dates and stuff, I wasn't the one. I wasn't the one going on dates. I wasn't the one going to proms. I wasn't that type of a person. So it put an insecurity within me. But as time has gone on, the one thing that I definitely know that I love, and this is my own personal thing, is I love to learn. I love to learn, and I love to seek out, like, you know, things. I don't know. I just like to seek things out. Like I like to understand things. And because of that, I tend to listen. And when something really hits a twinge in my head that I'm like, okay, it's kind of put together who I am. Because then I take a look at what I was in my past and in my childhood. And then it's starting to like click the light bulb on. It's starting to kind of open it up to where I'm like, okay, that's why I went through what I went through, because now I'm finding out about myself. And it's something to where I can make that connection. Whereas before I was like, you know, when you don't know what it is, when you don't know what that is, then it's just like, I have no idea. I have no idea why these things are happening to me.
And you don't have to have a dynamic story. You don't have to have a story that, you know, like Jess's is a very dynamic, you know, heartfelt, moving story. You don't have to have that story.
Well, when you think about it, the Shining Star nomination, Katie Farner, she just joined for fun. There was no, like, I need the money, I need to put food on the table for my kids. She has no kids. You know what I mean? But she decided to turn it into a business. And, you know, so it's like
She has helped a lot of people.
She has. She's a very good trainer. She's out there. She's
like a celebrity.
So, yeah.
She's like a celebrity online.
She's made herself that way. And so, but it wasn't.
You don't have to have that story either.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that it's not like you have to have, well, see, what I'm trying to say is that for a long time I questioned, because there was so many people I had a team and nobody wanted to do anything with their business. So I wondered, I said, okay, do you have to have like heart-wrenching, life-changing experiences in order to want to make any changes and utilize this opportunity? Like you have to be like, my kids are not going to eat if I don't, you know, I used to wonder that, because when you think about it, Becca took me to it was called Motivate, what was it called?
It's like a motivational
seminar. It was a motivational, it was something Motivate, I don't remember. But anyways, she took me to the seminar and it was all about all these different people. It was here at the Thomas and Mack, and every single great motivational speakers, very successful, they had heart-wrenching stories. Like, pull at your heart, you know, oh my gosh, lived behind a trash can, you know, almost died of drug overabuse, you know, like they shouldn't even be alive, you know what I mean? And so I wonder, like, you know, and I think every level is different because the way, you know, each person is, what some people may have thought my story's not, some people may have looked at me like, really? Well, that chick's son was murdered. What are you crying about? Do you know what I mean? You don't know, but to me, knowing that I was that mother that couldn't feed my kids.
It was your circumstance.
Yeah, like I was in, to be honest, for a split second, I got embarrassed that I started crying on stage, but then because I was like, it's not like my kids aren't healthy, but then I'm like,
But
you know
that
what?
was real in
It
your
hurt
world.
me. There
That
was a
was
lot
real.
more going on
Yeah.
that I didn't even have time to talk about. Do you know what I mean? So, but anyways, I questioned that for a long time, and I think that that is a portion of it. But, and I think it's about people being.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. Something's coming to mind, so when we're done, I have
well,
to share
just
it.
the average person, if they're comfortable, I think we've been trained growing up that you should be appreciate that your kids are healthy, you have food on the table, you have a job, you've got things, and you know what, you're asking too much if you want more. Do you know what I mean? Like we almost feel guilty for not being satisfied, even though we are, but saying, well, I also want to travel, or I also want my, what's your lightning, you know what I mean? Things like that. Like, and she even went through a kind of like a guilt, like, you know, do I really need that? You know, but why not?
Exactly.
Why can't we have it all?
My Ford.
Oh.
Lightning, it's a truck.
Yeah, it's a truck. Jason.
That's why she
Jason.
took a horse. That was her initial goal, and that's part of your story.
I have
That
to
was
share
your initial
something.
goal.
I
which
just really quick.
Really
I didn't
quick.
mean to laugh.
that
Hold your
twice
thought.
once. It's ridiculous.
Hold your thought, because the reason I was laughing is because she was talking about she went to a Motivate seminar, okay? Jason,
Get motivated. That's what it was
Get
called.
motivated.
Get motivated.
So Jason, you guys have gotten to know him a little bit, but not fully. Jason is absolutely not about that kind of stuff at all, okay? I took him for the very first time when we very first met to a, it was the forum.
He's such a machismo.
Yeah. But he's not, he is, but he isn't. But anyway, so it was called the forum. And people were literally getting up and we're sitting in this thing. And I, you know, of course, I'm a bag of emotions, so I can share like there's no other. And I'm up there and I'm crying and I'm sobbing. And all these different people are standing up and they're telling their stories. And these are stories that are like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
You made it through that kind of story, right? And they're having these aha moments and everything. And Jason's sitting there. And he's sitting there.
And you're going,
Yeah. And he's sitting there. And he's quiet.
quiet.
And he's quiet and he's not mentioning anything. Okay, so then fast forward to reunion that we just had. Going through all these trainings, we're sitting there in reunion and everything, and I'm a freaking bubbling mess, snot coming out of my nose. I do have enough tissue to be able to wipe my face, and he's sitting next to me, and he's just as calm as can be. And for the longest time, I was like, what's wrong? He's not getting it and everything. And when we were done with reunion, we're driving to Utah, and we're just kind of talking, it was like, he told me, he says, you know what? He says, I don't have those things like other people have. He says, I don't have those kind of situations. And I said, but did you see anything that appealed to you or that touched you in any way? And he says, yes. He says, there were things that touched me. But I had to just be okay with the fact that
he was like that.
that's his personal thing. And he keeps it all inside. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have a story. It's just he's not one to be able to express it like I am. You know what I'm saying?
Mason!
So I understand that very well. And back in the day, back in the whole forum thing, he even told me, he's like, you know, that was a great, training or whatever it was. He's like, but I just don't have crazy things in my life.
Did he have a hardship
like that?
as he was a young child? Was there any hardship? Did he lose any family member?
Jason has always been the outcast.
No, but did
Always.
he have a hardship when he was younger?
Did
No,
anything?
not really.
Well, that's the thing. There's no
Traumatizing
connection. Like it's
Because there may be that he had something traumatized happen to him, so he became desensitized. Because that's happened to me.
Yeah.
You know, something traumatic happened to me as a child, so I'm desensitized as to connecting with people. Do you know what I mean? That's my why
Yeah.
I'm the way I am.
No, I
understand
don't
that.
think anything traumatic has happened to him. I just think that that's just his kind of a personality.
Or there is the people that just have never, that because they've had nothing traumatic, they can't relate.
Exactly.
It's a relating thing.
Exactly.
And so that's why we had everybody stand up, because if you can't connect in somewhere in my story, it's going to be like, that's your story. Why am I sitting here talking? There's nothing. That's what pulls the strings, is when you feel like somebody understands.
Exactly.
That's why people struggle so much in, especially this kind of business, is because they think that nobody else is going through or
It's not
feels
to say
the
that
way.
you have to struggle.
Yeah, no,
It's
and
not
that's
to say that you have to have a struggle. You don't have to have a struggle.
absolutely no. I mean,
And some people just got it like that. Some people just got it to where they're just like, you know what?
Like a Katie Foreigner, where they just want something fun to do, and
Well, I mean, and not only that, but I mean, somebody that just really has never had anything like massive, and that's an awesome thing. Somebody doesn't have to feel like they're, somebody doesn't have to feel like they're, unworthy because they haven't, and maybe they just like. That's just, some people have it like that. That's awesome.
and that's a good
I
thing.
wish I could have
My
that.
father-in-law, my stepfather, is like that. He's never lost anybody in his life. His parents are in their 90s.
well, tragically.
Tragically. So when things were going on, there was loss in our family. He really didn't know how to respond because he's never had that experience. He it's like in his mind, he's even expressed it to us, saying, like, he really almost feels like his parents will always live. Like, he can't imagine them actually ever going. So it's like when somebody actually passes, it's like, oh, that's so sad, but I'm never gonna have to worry. Like, he's in his 70s and he's brainwashed himself like this. But that's also a defense mechanism.
Yes.
Telling his head that, okay, I'm never gonna have to deal with that. So he doesn't even let himself have that emotion.
Exactly.
Because
That's
he's
Jason
like,
to a T.
The heck am I gonna get emotional over you? Because that's stamping that one day that's gonna be me. So no, I'm just gonna let life flow, and you know what I'm saying? And he's very disconnected and things like that, because
You need to talk about what you were just going to say, because I cut you completely off,
Yes.
Mr. Blake. I am so sorry.
Oh, well, the reason when we were going back and forth about this, Ryan put it in my head because we talk about cars. We're a car family.
Right.
This is what, we have 4 cars and we have 2 drivers.
Well, you have 2 up-and-coming kids.
yeah, right?
So, that's like always been a thing. And we've never said that we're materialistic in any way, but we do.
That's your love.
We're prideful of our cars, and that's us. And we had when I was pregnant with Titus, so it's almost 10 years now. Ryan broke his ankle July 4th of 2005, and we had if you know my truck, I have a great big Super Duty. Well,
Yes.
we had one that was even bigger. It was lifted. And we drove it all the way down from Alaska when we got stationed in Arkansas. Well, then Ryan broke his foot four-wheeling on a four-wheeler, not in the truck, obviously. But he's like, I can't keep getting up into this truck with my crutches. He goes, we need to get rid of it. And I'm like, okay. So he found a Ford Lightning. And all of a sudden, once we bought that truck, we found all of these new friends because he found a Lightning Club in Arkansas.
That's
That's
cool.
really big, and we still have friends from there. And I never really let on as to how much I liked the truck. I've always been a truck girl.
The Lightning or the old truck?
The Lightning. The Lightning.
Okay.
So we got rid of the old truck. I was okay with getting rid of, because once you put the lift on it, I was like, I don't feel comfortable driving this anymore because the steering was loose, and all that stuff. So when we got the Lightning, it's a single row front. 3 people can only fit in it, but it had a turbo in it. It was 2-wheel drive. It had a little bit of a rake in the back. It was lowered. It was like nice. The only thing that was about it was silver. However, I remember being pregnant with Ty, and Ryan was in the passenger seat. I was driving. We were coming back from Walmart, and this kid, 18 years old, coming the other way on the street, because it's a 2-way street, and he revs his engine at me. And I'm like,
She's all pregnant.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So we drive we're driving home. I watched him turn around and follow us. And instead of turning left onto the road where we lived, I turned right and I pulled over to the side. And I'm like, you're following me. And he pulls up alongside of me. He's got a passenger in the truck, and he goes, "You want to race?" And I looked at him and I said, "No, I'm 3.5 months pregnant and I have a cripple in the truck." I said, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to race you." And he's like, "Okay, nice truck, blah, blah, blah," and he drove off. But we ended up getting rid of it, and I've regretted it ever since.
Oh.
So when we were talking about joining, he's like, "Well, you know what you could do? You could join Scenty and you can get your lightning. You can make your."
Well, let me ask you something. Go back a second, because I'm still stuck on the racing thing. Did that excite you?
Oh yeah, I raced my Jeep Cherokee with the baby seat in the back seat down the drag strip.
That's awesome. That's
That
awesome.
is that's what I mean.
You were 1 year shy of Indy.
Yes, I know. It was funny because she gave me the race flag from Indy
So that's your passion.
I secretly, yes.
You want to
Secret
be.
now.
You want to be like that chick that drives cars, except for you want a truck. You want to do it in a
I
lightning.
would, well, yeah, and that was the thing. Is Ryan's like, "Well, you could join and you could get your lightning,"
That
and
is
I'm like,
awesome.
"Oh." The wheels started turning, and then of course when I went to Spring Sprint and I went to Reunion and I heard all of these stories, and I'm like, "Wow, I joined Scenty for the wrong reason."
No,
Because I was
no.
That's exactly how I felt though, and even with this reunion too, I'm like, everybody's like, you need to know what your why is. My why, I want a lightning.
Do you want to know what Grizel's why is? She wants to buy as many micro course bags as she can with her.
There's nothing wrong with that. Hey,
That,
go ahead,
that's what
judge.
excites you.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, if there's one day that I happen to be up on stage talking about why I joined
You will be
Scenty,
showing everybody that it's okay
Yeah.
to have a goal
There's
and
nothing
to
wrong with
want,
that.
and that's the,
And to achieve it, that's the bigger part.
yes.
That's
It's like you almost feel guilty that,
I do.
but why?
Don't.
Thank God that you never were in that situation and you have the ability to add to your life. That's what my message
Then the
was.
thing is they're gonna look at me and go, "Well, she's already got 4 cars. She's got this great big
No.
nice house. Why? does
But
she
you
need
don't have
something
the light.
What do you think?
But
Wait a minute, wait a
you
minute.
can, that's the thing, is
What
it
do
doesn't
you-
matter. Each person has the ability to, the sky is the limit.
Okay, so
Why do we have to limit ourselves to anything?
What do you think Orville thinks about how people look at him? Think about that.
okay, so let me tell you
I
something.
don't
With
think
your
he gives a
car
shit.
story,
That's what I was just gonna say.
I,
To be honest with you.
I owned a 1962 Chevy Nova, and when I got married with my ex-husband, that was the first thing that had to go when we bought our house. Okay, so I had to sell it. I sold it for $500. Okay, it still burned in my heart that I sold that car. And I've told myself, and I've shared this with Troy. I said, if and when I become director, I'm gonna
Okay,
find
when?
me a six.
When?
When I become a director, I'm gonna find me a 1962 Chevy Nova, even if I have to refurbish it myself. And I'm getting that car back in this family because that was my thing. I was white with red interior, and it had that like.
Okay, so I'm still stuck on this. I'm sorry. I'm
So is
hearing
your
you.
lightning on your dream board?
Yes, it's on my dream board.
Have you been down there and driven on the like
Speedway.
rented the cars or whatever and done that
No,
whole?
but we have
Okay,
been.
you need to-
No. We have been in Scarlet, our GA, as a family for laps of charity, and we were up to 160 miles an hour. Ryan was driving. not me.
Whoa!
I was videoing it, which I wasn't supposed to. But yeah, I mean,
She's got a
it's-
wild side. She does.
See, and that's the thing. Nobody
I know that
knows
too.
that. Yeah,
I
and
do.
Well, okay. One of the
Jackie,
team
this is
meetings that we
freaking
had,
awesome.
that you were like, write something down that nobody knows about you. Well, we had just gone up to the pumpkin patch, and I was driving my truck back home, and they were following in their car, and I am a speed demon as long as I know there's no cops around. If there's cops, I'm like, okay, speed limit.
Yeah.
And that's just me. I'm afraid of getting caught. But they said, write something down, and I wrote on I have a lead foot. And I do, and I've talked about getting lead tattooed on my
Oh,
foot.
that's awesome.
However, you can look at it as a lead too.
Look at her. That is awesome.
But yes, I do. It's
I'm gonna cry.
I know, right? Isn't it neat to see that?
why are you crying?
Because I just learned something about you, Amy.
Oh.
Because I'm gonna tell you something right now. You are headed for something. I'm not even talking about Scenty, but you have a passion for what you do, and you have no idea what your future has in store for you. You have no idea.
I know.
Maybe your future is about being like a race car driver for trucks. You never know. But you're never gonna know until you just start putting yourself out there a little bit. I don't even, okay, we're talking Scenty, but we're not talking Scenty.
I always say, don't I always say Scenty's the vehicle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Scenty's just the vehicle. It doesn't have to be the end of the road. It's just what gets you, it assists you to help you find what you want.
I think it's freaking awesome, and I totally support you in that. If that's something that you love, don't subdue that. Even if it takes one little thing, even if you have to do one thing a day, to just get yourself out to be able to lead you down that road of where you want to go, then just do it. Maybe you don't even know what it is, but see, that's the beautiful thing, is you're on a clean slate right now. This is the slate where you can create from. You don't have anything in your baggage about it. You don't have anything. So you have a blank slate to be able to move from here. And if so be it that, you know, you do make the money to be able to get your lightning and have it completely paid for cash, no payments whatsoever, then so be it. So be it. Let it be that way.
And the only people that would be inspired by that are jealous. That's it. The only people that would be inspired by your story are the ones that are mad that you're in that position. And that the thing is that everybody wishes they didn't screw up like I screwed my life up for other things. Yeah. I keep picturing her like winning a thing and all of a sudden a helmet come off and it's this chick and everybody's thinking it's this guy.
Danica Patrick is one of them.
Okay.
Danica Patrick is a race car driver.
They're gonna be having her model like in her little like those little cute
And
little
I'll
outfits.
have my Scenty name.
Yeah.
Scenty can be your sponsor.
Scenty race car. Truck. Sorry.
Who wants to say it?
They would sponsor you.
What's crazy about it though is that, I mean, like I said, vehicles are a thing, and Ryan even told me a couple months back that he wanted to wrap the truck in, our truck is white. He thought about getting a wrap for Scenty for the truck and doing it in like the white camouflage.
Oh,
because it's military, and then having the Scenty logo put in somewhere. And I mean, when
I have a
we
guy
first
for you
started,
for that.
when we first started,
Oh, did they do the whole car?
Yeah, he's done car wraps.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what he did at Fast Signs when he worked at Fast Signs.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I need to talk to him. I didn't know he did that. Okay, go ahead.
well, when we started, you know, we were talking about, I don't know if you know what a deuce and a half is. It is a great big military truck, and I mean, the tires are this tall.
See, that's my passion.
And I told Ryan, I said, I would love one of those. Driving around here, especially.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
it's
what I'm
just,
talking about.
That's awesome. And he's like, yeah, we could get it. It's tan. We could do the wrap on it. And he goes, we could name it Orville.
They have totally
I think that is awesome.
So cool.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
if she has it done?
Oh my gosh, how
As long as
cool.
there's someone here.
So I think we just need to sit on that for a while.
There, you can use my phone.
I think we just need to sit on that for a while, and I think that you just seriously, you do whatever you want, but I just seriously think that that's your story right there, and don't ever be ashamed of it.
No.
Don't ever be ashamed of it. Don't
It's
ever
like
be
saying
ashamed
you
of
won't drive
that.
your car because you got it with your Scenty money.
No, and it makes me feel bad that
Be
people
proud
would
of what
think
you're
that they
able
don't,
to get for
because they don't
yourself
have a
and your
heart-wrenching
family
story,
and achieve those
that they
things
can't
that
be
you want.
worthy.
Well, the only reason why they choose stories like mine is because psychologically, most people, when they're down here, they think that there is no up. And so my story shows that you could be down here and still get not only level, but above. What we were trying to share is that don't let yourself get down here before you take advantage of this opportunity. You know, even if everything's fine, you don't have financial issues, you don't have marital problems,
You don't have
depression,
heart-wrenching situation
Yeah.
that just like,
don't wait till then, because, you know,
I think
then
there's
it's
a book.
harder to.
I think there's a book or there's like a training that should be done on that specific subject. That you don't have to be going through adversity to be able to win. You don't have to.
Well,
You
and
don't
I
have to.
really think it's what's literally society grinds in our brains.
Yeah.
And I again, I'm a
Success
religious
is for
person.
everybody.
That's right.
There is no discrimination
Well,
for people who want to be successful.
Very true. At Mastermind in November, Randy Gage said something very interesting, and this is I'm going in an area that's very touchy because it talks about religion, but it's about every religion pretty much, is that it almost, because they teach us, you know, to be grateful and, you know, and your family's healthy,
Humble,
you've got a home under over your head, be thankful, which is not a bad thing, we all should, but almost subconsciously trains us that having abundance in a financial way is a bad thing.
Yes.
And wanting it, and that, like, if you have a job, be thankful you have a job, because people don't have a job. Very true, but that doesn't mean if I have the ability and the drive to work harder to get more, what's wrong with that?
There's nothing
Because
wrong.
here's the thing, when you have more money, you have the ability to get more.
That's right.
Those are gifts that God has given you
Yes.
to share with others.
Exactly.
Like, we all have our own significant gifts. Your gift is you want to help people. And you
Yes.
have a profound story to enlighten people, to say, you can do this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Our stories are much different,
Absolutely.
but it doesn't mean that what we have to offer doesn't affect that same person the same way.
Exactly.
Because we all have a little bit to offer everybody. And that's what I'm finding out with, like, getting all these recruits. They're not all the same. They're all
Yes.
coming from different
Yes.
backgrounds,
Oh, yeah.
but they're all
They
taking
enrich.
they're all taking a little bit of they're taking what I have to offer and then applying what's important to them to help them to the next step or to achieve what they need to achieve. And all I can do is offer what I have, and they can either take from that, or I can direct them to other people like you, or other people like, you know,
Anybody.
Amy or Jeanette or whoever. That's why in today's post that I posted, Heather welcoming you for the team, I said, you know, that she has a profound story because she's a 4-time cancer survivor, and it took me over a year to get her to finally say, okay, I want to commit now. I'm ready.
Yes.
And she signed up with having only $10 left in her account. You know, so we all have something to offer, and it's just a matter of who's listening and when you offer that to that person.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of people don't even, it's like if they don't have any struggles, and it's not like trying to make people fear something, but really it's just have that safety net. So when something happens, I mean, and it's again, I don't know if people really listen to the messages we were saying. When life throws a curveball, which it will, you know, it's gonna continue. That's just life. We're always gonna have things coming at us that blindside us. Health issues, money issues, you know, kids acting up. You know, there's always gonna be new issues and challenges we're going to be facing in life. We can't say that you're not gonna have that, but you could be ready for it. And unfortunately, the world goes round by the dollar. So God forbid somebody gets sick in your family across the country. If you have money, a cushion,
Yes.
you don't have to say, oh, wow, I can't go to my aunt's funeral because I can't afford it. Do you know what I mean? People don't think about that stuff. They don't think about the future of, you know, what if my kid wants to go to Harvard? Do you know what I mean? Yes, they may get scholarship, but what, you know, their goal is to not work and really get that grade. You know, like, do you want to be able to give your child that option that, you know what, you don't have to go to work while you're going to school, you know, just go to school, pay attention, and I have the money to support you. Do you know what I mean? Like, we never really look that far away, because I think it's almost we disbelieve that it's ever going to get, like, we're ever going to be in that position, because when you think about it, it's also aging us by saying, oh, my kids one day I may need to support my child in a different way. Well, that means they're going to be adults. Well, I'm still in my 30s, so I'm staying here. So I'm not even going to think about that. And my own mother's a perfect example. My mom's 63 years old. She doesn't have a will because she refuses to believe that she's getting old. And I'm like, Mom, I love you to death, and God knows, in my mind, you're going to be living to 300. But I go, you're living not in reality. And that's not going to, you know, you're just going to put your family in a bad situation by not realizing you need to at least have, I'm like, I'm not even 35 and I know what's going on if I die. Do you know what I mean? And so it's just, this business literally teaches you about the real cycles of life. And that's really what it is. It's not, again, the wax and the warmers and now the diffusers are the tool. That's it, to connect with people so we can learn from each other's situations. I mean, Scenty, wax and warmers literally brought us together as friends.
Yeah.
And we're learning about Amy today and you and her light love. Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I'm saying? And we're getting excited because we're visualizing her future. We're like, yay!
And maybe it be that maybe that's not even the road that it goes. But for the fact that she has a passion, and that's what we need to tap into, is, you know, and that's why our why is so important. What it is that it inspires you. What is it that excites you? Just because something excites me doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be something that's going to excite you, or anybody else. So, you know, always trying to recognize, even if you don't know what your why is, because how many times have my team members said, I don't know what my why is. Okay, well, so what excites you? What puts a smile on your face? What is it that when you're listening to somebody, it might just be mundane, like boring conversation, and then they might say something and you're like, oh, okay. You know, then you're speaking to me about whatever that topic is. So, you know, finding out what that passion is. I mean, because you're talking about, got me excited the way you were talking about, and that's because you lit up when you were talking about it. And you speed bumped over that, just to let you know. You speed bumped over it. That's why I was like, wait a minute, let's go back. I want to go back because I want to hear what you have to say in regards to that. What did that have any relevance to do with what we were talking about? But obviously it did to you. So that was really awesome.
And the thing is you need to tap into that, because it's like you're holding yourself up, and it's like you're ignoring the fact that that's what does excite you, and that why not? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, and that's one thing. There was a post I put that something like life starts when you stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Like what drives me, or what my life history and whatever shouldn't have to affect your drive or your goals. And the thing is like when in Scenty, obviously there's a structure. The top is superstar director. But when everybody says superstar director, that doesn't necessarily mean the same thing for every single person. For me, it means building people to build confidence to achieve what they truly want out of life. That's what it means to me. It doesn't mean me being the top dog, you know what I mean? Or it doesn't, or being a millionaire, or I mean, yeah, I would like financial freedom, of course, because it gives me more tools to help other people and, you know, be able to do more things in life. But for everybody's going to have a different reason. Like, okay, when you visualize yourself as a superstar director, what does that mean to you? Or have you ever gotten that far yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, what about you?
Yeah, and see, then on the other hand, and Jess and I have talked about this a few times, I get embarrassed about what I visualize. I get embarrassed about it because then people would look at it and I have a fear that people are going to look at it like it's like they're being too overly sure of yourself.
So share what it is, because I have something to share with you.
So, okay, getting back to talking about when I was young and what I was all about, I was always the one that was on show for everybody. And I always wanted to be the one in charge. And even with my cousins, I still remember to this day, they were just like, oh my God, yeah, you were so bossy. You were just ridiculous. You know, you always wanted to be on show. When I was in second grade, I danced the hula when we came back from Hawaii on a table for my second grade class, and I had no problem doing it. I've performed in my life. I've been a singer. I love getting up on stage. Even throughout school, I was in all the choir classes I could be into, and I really love that kind of stuff. And for me, you know, people are like, my husband is definitely afraid of it. He's like, there's no way. Yeah. I mean, for me, when you talk about Benacasa and her like adrenaline rush that she gets for, you know, doing all the races and stuff that she does, that's my adrenaline rush. My adrenaline rush is like speaking and getting up on stage, and not just speaking, but just sharing.
Inspiring other people.
Yes. So for me, that's what drives me. That's what drives me, and that's what my passion is. And I know I have a long way to go, because then I fight with myself and I'm like, okay, well, I am nowhere near being able to share it with anybody, anything that I have going on, because I do not have the answers. I definitely do not have the answers, but I definitely know that that's a gift that's been given to me, that where somebody else might be afraid to do it, I'm like, pick me, I'll go up, I'll do it. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna get up there and throw myself out there because I can do it. That's what I can do. We all have strengths that we can do, and that's just something, like when Jess even says, I need somebody to do the call, like 5 minutes, wait, can you get on the call and do it? I'm like, I have no idea, but yeah.
I know she'll do that. I know that she's the type that if you throw her in, she's ready for that challenge.
For that kind of a thing. Well, I really don't know what I'm doing though. That's the crazy thing.
That's the beauty of it too, though.
But her and I have a lot of similarities in that area, in those areas, and that's why, because I was the kind of person that Callie and Becca would just throw me into things.
Yeah.
And I hated for it in the beginning, but then I would end up realizing that's what I thrived for.
Like it's
I wanted
like my
more.
adrenaline is starting to rush even talking about it.
Yeah. See,
Like,
adrenaline. I
rush.
need like an itinerary. Give me a subject matter. Give me 10, 20 minutes to think about it. I'll write an outline.
Yeah.
I know she always gets mad at me when like I'll ask her questions at team meetings and I didn't like warn her about it. She's like, I didn't put my notes.
But that's such a, I mean, and this is where my insecurity lies, is because I think that it was just, like, I don't want to put myself in a position where other people are looking at me like I'm too sure of myself, or that I'm like overly confident in myself or anything like that.
There's a fine line with that because you are credible. People take what you say for golden, and if you don't know what the hell you're
That's
talking
what I'm so
about,
afraid of, is that one day I'm going to open up and then just poop's going to just fall out on the
it's scary.
table.
But that's the thing is, remember that you have to remember one thing I
But see, that's my analytical side talking. So don't take me so
That's
seriously.
what that's what I'm saying. I think the structure of society, if you're in this position, you need to know this much. And that's why people don't
And I don't like
do well
yeah.
in this kind of a business, because
I don't like to be called out on stuff. I hate feeling like, oh shit, I didn't know the answer to that. I gave an answer that I thought was right and it's not right now. What do I do?
but that's the insecurity in you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you right now.
And I have a
Because
lot of
I
it.
felt like that
Losing.
before. No, and I felt like that before. I used to think that I had to know everything, especially if my team was asking me and I didn't know. It was very, very hard for me to admit that I didn't know something. Like, I thought that I had to. Oh, I'm the director. That means I need to know. And it took people actually almost saying snide remarks to me. Like, I had some of those people, I mean, I don't even remember who it was, but I've had people challenge me in our team to say, like, you don't know the answer. And it made me question myself and question my position and my knowledge. And honestly, it's people like that which have built my backbone and helped me become comfortable in my own skin, because you'll either sink or you swim. Because it really pushes you to really question your own just individuality. And like, there's some people that are so insecure and so unhappy in their own skin that they will literally, you almost, because they see you happy and achieving things, that it's like, you know, they say misery loves company.
Yep.
It's like a competition of like, oh, well, you're a little bit too happy, too confident, you know, achieving too many dreams, everything that I would love to do, but I'm too scared to do it. So I'm going to make sure I smash you down, and knock you off that pedestal, because, and you either have to, you either let it happen, or you have to come to a point to accept yourself of, you know what?
I'm not perfect. I don't have the answers,
That's
but
where
I still
Becca
go
came,
forward.
that expression. I mean, I don't know if she's the one that wrote it, but she says it a lot, is you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. And so,
That is my mantra.
but the thing is, when you think about it, you don't want people to think you're powerful, because not powerful, perfect, because then you can't be
Responsibility.
duplicatable. They can't do that. Do you know what I mean? I love, and I hate to say it, I love learning about people that I admire and are, in my eyes, a mentor, and I find their insecurities and their downfalls and this and that, because it's like, okay, they're still so powerful, I still respect them, but they're not perfect, and I may have a better strength in that area than they do.
I love to hear the Saturday calls and the conversations that go on between Becca and Kelly.
Yeah, I know, it's so
Where
cute.
Becca's like, do you have those numbers? She goes, no, not quite yet. I'm just bringing them up now. You know,
Yes.
you know, she wasn't 3 hours prepared into it.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's really, they are human. Like today, Troy left the house earlier than what he normally does, and I forgot to give him. I had told Jennifer I was going to give JJ, her boyfriend, stuff for her to review this weekend. Well, he left and he didn't grab the folder that I left out for him. And I called him. I said, you forgot to grab the stuff. And he's like, well, I left early. And I go, I left it on the table for you. And I was almost getting mad. I was kind of getting mad at him. And then and he goes, it's not a big deal. You're human. And so am I. And I said, it's not a big deal to you, but it's a big deal to me. Because, you know, she's a new recruit. I wanted to have that stuff.
There's a
there
time
for her.
frame that she needs certain things.
Yeah. So that was, and, you know, she texted me back and me apologized. But still, it's just like.
But that also is true. One thing I've had to learn is because believe me, I've been through it all.
But I can email it to them.
Well, yes, but also remember that,
Are we over our time? No, that's just a reminder. She's gone.
Things like that are going to happen. And one thing, I used to be like, oh my God, I didn't send out the email that day and this and that. And when you think about it, most people aren't as concerned as you are.
Yeah.
Even if you got them that folder, they'll put it on the table and they won't look at it for another 3 days.
Exactly.
There are the people that want to, they'll be on the phone with you. Where do I go in the workstation? Where can I find this information? That's what I've learned, that we stress about it more than they do because we want that success for them, but we can't want it more than they do. When I joined, the first thing I did, I signed up. It was 8:30 in the morning. I called Cambry. Okay, I joined. What happened? She's like, what? I haven't even gotten out of bed yet. And I'm like, well, where do I go? What do I do? Because I was so
I'm ready to start. I'm ready
to do it.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? And if she would have sent me something, or if she was late on something, whatever she number for this is what gets me through so much, especially when I get challenged, like, what do I give as incentives? How do I show them that I care, this and that? I remember Shelly, her name's Shelly, she was Cambry's sponsor when I joined. I borrowed some warmers for my launch party. And she gave me a half-used sticker sheet. Like, it was just, like, there was, like, half of it was gone and gave me, like, maybe 6 stickers left. And they were, like, thank you stickers or something. And I was through the roof over a couple stickers. She didn't give me, like, a whole tester set or, like, all this stuff. And, she literally gave me, here's some stickers. And you can put these on your catalog, on your order forms. And I was like, oh, my God, they're so cute. Because I can't afford to buy stickers, so yay! I'll get my best orders and I'll put thank you stickers on them, and like it shows that if people are gracious and great, it doesn't matter what you do, it's just the thought. They say it's the thought that counts. It doesn't matter how big or small. So we are always trying to question ourselves, is it enough? What do I do? Every person is different. So we have to accept that we can only do what we can. Literally. And I've said it to all of you probably in different times, that as long as God knows that where your heart is, that's really, because I will tell you, you will be beat up by the world. Not even just in this business. It's just, this business is just more,
in your
apparent.
face.
Yeah, in your face. And so it just makes you grow stronger because you're being bats thrown or balls thrown at you all the time.
Yeah.
And so it just gains your skill of those life challenges with other people. That's why there's things that I just roll off my back like I can whatever that would have usually just broke me down. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because no matter what you do, there's always going to be people judging you, and no matter how great you are, there's going to be some. I even taught when Mitch and I went up on stage. I said, Dave, you have to tell yourself that you're here for a reason. Somebody believes in you. You have a story that somebody wants you to share. And if we touch one person's heart today, that's all that counts. And there's going to be people up there saying, what are these frickin' people up there for? You're like, there's going to be haters. And I said, so just stop thinking about it. Accept that there's going to be haters, but there's going to be one person saying, thank you for being on stage. Yes. And believe me, there was way more of a response than like we both ever experienced. I mean, I'm still to this day getting messages. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It touched me. It moved me. It inspired me. Blah blah blah. It's amazing. Yeah. But it really does grow you as a person and make you kind of have to accept yourself because it's like you're thrown into the wolves. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you really see all the insecurities that people really have.
It is kind of like reaching a level of success where you're being recognized for things you're thinking to yourself, well, anyone can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really do anything different other than what you could do yourself for yourself and other people. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you've been put in a position where people do praise you for what you've done, but you're like, I didn't do anything.
Well, when you think about it, let's just get real. Some people, that's all they know me as Jessica Markowitz, that was on stage. But you guys know me as just Jess. Like, you know what I mean? And I've had people like literally talk to me like I was something, like I'm not even human like that. Even like.
I talk to you like you're not human.
But
I'm like, oh, hell,
it's really the things we put in our own heads.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And once we break down, I think once I got that real, because I used to think of Becca Levi before I met her in person, she's like some robot or something. She's not real. She's too perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't do
She
that.
is so real.
She is the most real
I know.
person. I mean, and that's what, when I was so lucky to meet her really early in my business, and it made me go, holy cow, yes, she's amazing. Yes, she's beautiful. Yes, she's powerful. But she definitely is a real person
Yeah, absolutely.
that has her own challenges, that just really takes time to grow herself. And I mean, if you just observe her, she'll literally like sit and stop and think about what she wants to say. But that's not overnight. That's
Training over
time.
years, yeah.
And
She paid a really good compliment to me at the reunion, and I appreciated that. And she says, you know, you can reach out to us anytime. Give me a call whenever you want. So I thought
she means that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, oh,
She means that.
She does that, and it's funny that even the very few words that she has, like even Callie, I was sitting there with Callie, and I totally, like within maybe a 2-minute conversation, was like feeling like she was my sister. I'm like, okay, girl, this is how it's gonna be. I mean, it was awesome. And then with Becca, the words that come out of her mouth, they're very like precise and to the point. That's what I loved about her. Like, you know, I'm introducing her to Jason, and she paid me such an amazing compliment to Jason that exactly what she said was just like, you know, it really was heard by Jason. And it really meant a lot that she said that, you know, it really meant a lot that she said that to Jason, because I was like, it's just me, you know, and she's like, no, you know. So.
But that's what she's so good at, is that
Yeah.
she really recognizes,
It's really awesome.
significance,
And to the point.
and she makes sure
Let's just
that-
get through the jargon. This is how it is, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I've always respected that about her, because I always envied that about her in the beginning, is that when she trains, like on her YouTube videos, it's very like, this is what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And I feared that. I don't know why now, but I used to fear telling people what really needs to happen to make this business, because I guess I feared that nobody was willing to do it. I don't
See,
know.
and I'm the opposite. I have no problem telling people what they need to do, and then I have the problem of people being like, you're kind of mean. Don't treat me like your kid.
What are you doing, Ellie? You're being crabby? Anyways, what was your favorite part of reunion, Amy?
This year was actually the breakouts. I really liked all of the way that they had it set up this year, and then just kind of be able to pick and choose. I think last year when I went, Aubrey, I was like on this high of, oh my gosh, this is the first time we're all
It was
going,
so
and
surreal.
I kind of felt like I had to be on the entire time. And
Yeah.
I think you and I kind of got into a disagreement about some things about afterwards, and well, why didn't this affect you? That's kind of the way I felt. It felt like, why didn't this affect you the way that it should have? And I was not feeling good. I was on my way back to Minnesota, and it was just kind of like this whole emotional thing. And this year, I know you texted me a few times. You're like, "Where are you?
I was
Are
just
you
worried
okay?" And I'm
about
like,
you, because she was by herself, so I was like,
I kind of feel like after, between last year and this year, I was more confident. I'm like, I never posted up where I was gonna go because I didn't know until the day before. I'm like, I've got to do it on my own. I've got to figure out what is it that I need to do, where do I need to go, where do I want to see myself, what do I need to go. So basically I did 2 breakouts, I did, what did we have, 4? Was it 4 breakouts?
Yeah.
So I did the how to start a conversation about Scenty, because that's something that I've always had a difficulty with. I can start a conversation with anyone. It's how do I pull Scenty into that, without feeling embarrassed. Like, here, I'm promoting for my company.
I'm interested to hear all about all of the different breakouts that we all did.
So I did one of those. In fact, the lady actually mentioned you and Mitch. She's like, oh yeah, well, Mitch and Jessica who are on stage, they put their name tags upside down.
Yeah.
That's another way to do it. And then I did the global recruiting, because I am meeting more people with my husband's military. So I'm meeting
absolutely.
more people that are not from here, and I would like to, have a global recruit, or 2 or 3.
Or 10 or 50.
Yeah.
Or 800.
And then I mentioned to someone, I think it was you were sitting next to me. I said, I have no idea what oils are about. None. No clue. I had no idea what the
I didn't
essential
either.
oils. And I'm like, when they brought it out, I'm like,
It's smoking. It's on fire.
So the last one that I went to was the
Scenty diffuser, yeah.
Yes, and I was just amazed, and I was like, if you saw, I posted a video because I got it yesterday, and I posted a video of it working, and in my post I wrote, I am so excited. I mean,
Yeah.
Titus saw the catalog that I brought home to Minnesota when we were there, and he goes, "What is this?" And I said, "Well, this is our new Scenty diffuser." And he's like, "Well, what does it do?" I said, "Well, it changes color and there's a mist that comes out of it." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so awesome." Well, Auntie Jenny's birthday was Wednesday. We went over to see her Tuesday. He makes up, both of them made up birthday cards because that's what we do. Aubrey put the horses on because they took her to see the horses and all that stuff. And on the front of Titus's birthday card
Is the diffuser.
Oh, how cute.
And Auntie Jenny says, "Oh, well, what is this? This is like a really cool exclamation mark." He goes, "No, that's the new Scenty diffuser." And
It's your marketing department.
That is hilarious. That is awesome.
Yes.
That is
When I
awesome.
got it well, it came Wednesday, but I got it from my friend yesterday, and I set it up, and I'm like, "Do you want to see this?" And he's like, "Yeah." So we turned it on, and I took a video of it, and I'm like, "I am so excited," and posted it on my business page, and I said, message me for more details, available to my clients August 1st. I'm so excited, you know, and then I shared the video on my Facebook page.
That's
But
awesome.
For me, it's like, I love the warmers and the wax.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome, but to be able to
Have
have
the
the scent
options.
right there, that's really cool. So, I mean, it was just, the breakouts were definitely,
Because they're more personalized too, aren't they? Because you're
So
right
what
there.
you need and what you're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
and like I said, I felt like, okay, I was by myself at most of them. I know Day and I went to one, but we didn't sit together because she came in afterwards, and I just kind of felt like this is what I need. I'm kind of a loner when it comes to me having to learn. So,
That's
it's
good
just,
that you found your comfort zone, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
I talked to quite a few different people while sitting and waiting
Yeah.
in line. Honestly,
Yeah.
I didn't like the way that they had it set up for me.
Yeah, well, there's a story behind that didn't work out well with the events coordinator. It was
Oh,
just something, but
Yeah.
they winged it, I guess. But
Yeah, there were
So-
a lot of people complaining about that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because we've talked about how some. Now I won't get into that. We'll do that. So yeah, that was the breakouts. I really
That's
enjoyed the breakouts.
That's awesome.
And just before I go on, how you said how Jason went with you to the motivational speaker, and he's like, yeah, whatever, that's kind of how I felt when I found out about these two motivational speakers. I'm like, oh, great, woohoo, go me, that's how I felt. And when I heard both of these, I mean, like, I don't know if my notes were as long as this one, as Sally Hogshead, but I was like, okay, these are really cool,
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like Jason.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need that outer
Yes.
recognition. I've never been that way, and I have friends and coworkers that are like, "Did I do a good job? Am I doing a good job?" And I'm like, "Yes, you're doing great."
Yeah.
So, but it's
Keep up the
weird
good work.
for me-
Yeah.
It's weird for me to go back and say, "Keep going. You're doing a great job. I'm good at it. I can do it."
Yes.
But it feels forced to me. There
Yeah.
are times when it feels forced to me.
So because you don't need it, it's not easy for you to recognize when somebody needs it. Is that what you're saying?
In a way, yes, but I've dealt with people where they've come into my office and they're like, I don't know if I did this right or blah blah blah, and then I turn around and say, yeah, you did it great, you did it perfect. This is what we need. And I remember asking one of my friends, I'm like, why do you need that? And she goes, I don't know.
She
And
needs the approval.
why do you need the approval or
And
the
a lot of people
recognition?
do.
I get
Yeah.
embarrassed. I get embarrassed.
So do I.
Like, I appreciate all the kudos for the recruits that I've had, but the one that say like she's on fire, like after I posted my recruit, like congratulating him.
That was me.
I know. And like I don't want it to seem like I'm.
Yeah.
It's about you.
I hear
Yes,
you. I know.
it's about that person joining, and it's not about me bringing that person in. And I was just like,
So you know what I was thinking? You know what's so funny?
I wish that would, and then Joe puts the little flames on there. I'm like, it's not about me. Welcome this person on board. Don't make it about me.
Here's the
recruiting
thing,
these
and
people.
it's so funny because a lot of people will look at it as like I've always went back and forth of like, should I be complimenting you guys when you like my front line when you guys sponsor?
I appreciate it on the Accent Academy. Don't get me wrong.
That's what I was saying. That one is different because
Yeah,
it's a bunch of leaders and we all know
Yes.
what that
Yes.
means.
And it's
Yes.
just a closed group.
Yes, we're all business builders and we understand
Yes.
that when you get a recruit and you know what your goals are, but on the bigger picture, the average person doesn't, they think it's about, more recruits, more money for her, or more promotions
And that's
for
what
her.
I saw. That's how I saw
And
it.
so-
And I felt bad. Like,
But
I'm
you
like,
knew that that's not where it was
I
coming
know.
from.
No, but I want to say from another point of view, and it may never ever like. I mean, we can agree to disagree. This is what makes us all so diverse and so different from one another, and I love that about us. Is I look at it in the sense of I know you, and I know you, and I know you, and so we're sisters. And so for me to congratulate you and to be able to, give you kudos. Your person that's seeing that, first of all, she joined under you because you're awesome. She could have gone and joined with any other person out there. So she already, so she could have joined with anybody else. So she already has that, like, oh my gosh, she's awesome. But for her to be able to see that you have such an amazing
Support
system of people, it's going to cause her to be like, oh, I want to have some of that. I want to be a
I
part
don't
of
know
that.
it will for Heather, but for me, it was like, oh.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
no,
let
I
me be
get
the mediator here,
Yeah.
because I see both sides, and both sides are 100%
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Because that is very motivating for other people to be like, wow, my sponsor rocks, or I chose the right person, or I'm on the right team. That's very motivating.
I know
But
for
on the
Heather
flip
it is.
side, so instead of saying she's on fire, saying you have such an awesome sponsor, she's one of my dearest friends.
Yeah.
We're so excited to have you part of our family.
Right.
So it's about them, and it's confirming their choice and their decision with her.
Right.
And it's not saying, ooh, kudos to you. This is your success.
Your
with
shining
coming
moment.
on.
And
Yes.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and because you're so right, that is a very big dynamic. I mean, to be honest with you, do you know the whole home office, Joe Curtis, I mean, everybody, before I went on stage, they're like, do you know how huge this is for your team? He's like, do you realize this is going to be a very big transition for your team?
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess. And it's like, and then Joel had to like break it down. He's like, he's my favorite.
Yeah.
He's like, you are the representation of, you are hands reach. You're not some random consultant that they have no connection with
Right.
and say, oh yeah, she could do it, he could do it. They see that they know you, that you are that person that they have connection with on a regular basis. And the home office is saying, because he's like, do you realize we really don't take lightly who we put on the main stage.
Right.
He's like, there's a specific reason. And of course that was, even though I like praise to an extent, but that was hard for me I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was like, okay,
I
thanks.
remember
You know,
walking up after you found out.
yes. And oh my gosh, it's because it's not about me anymore. I mean, in the beginning, I was trying to build my self-esteem, so I needed that recognition. And that's really why I know those people, because I was that person. Like a lot of people will think that being on stage was about like, oh, I'm on the big screen and I'm about this and it's me. It was totally not about that. It's that it was about all of you and everybody in that room.
Yes.
That if my story, my pain, my struggle can help you guys realize that whatever your dreams are can come reality. I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to cry on stage. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm willing to fall on my face if that happened, because I could practice as much as I want, but who knows what was going to happen once I went on the stage? Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and that's one thing that I really do realize about leadership that I've read about, I've heard about, but it's sunk in, realize it's like, that's when you know when you really hit that point is when your pleasure is watching other people succeed and helping other people by your struggles and sharing your struggles. Because before, remember I told you I had to pretend like I was perfect? Scenty is what helped me start talking about my struggles in my life and verbalizing it. I was married to Mitch for. I'm President Chicken. I was married to Mitch for about, okay. Where's mine? You guys can bring the water upstairs because I'm about to talk about something I don't need you guys to hear. Okay, I'm President Kiddos. Hold on, I gotta fill up. So it was about, 6 years that we were married. And because of Scenty, it built enough confidence and I started to discover myself and know where, like you said, that's why I felt that was that way when I was a kid, and that's why I felt that way, and that's what made me react this way. All of that came to the surface, and it built. I finally had the strength on a conscious level to address all this subconscious things that I was suffering from, and it was a very hard time in Mitch and I's life because it separated us as a couple. I didn't
individually,
address
as a couple,
yes.
as a family.
Yes.
And, yep.
I didn't address all these pains I had when it was going on. I pushed it aside.
Suppressed it.
Mhm.
Yep.
And so, but that's what this business does. It's weird. It makes you realize that, you know what, you're stronger when you're able to show people that you're not, that you're weak and that you're vulnerable. Because that's what helps other people get stronger. Because it's when you feel like you're the only one that feels that way, that has experienced that struggles with that, is when you feel the most weak. But once you see that, oh wow, this person has gone through what I have, I'm not alone, and they've gotten through it, it suddenly gives you a power. So there's so many parts of my story that I had to leave out that I know would have helped a lot of people, but I'm not done.
Yeah, that's right.
My
Still
new goal
rewriting it.
is to still continue to share my story, whether I one day finish my book and I want to continue to better myself at speaking so I could speak to other people and use this experience as, a tool to help other people.
So what was your favorite part of bringing in?
Yeah.
Mine was bringing my kids and sharing that dynamic and the energy that Scenty brings to me every day with the people that are closest to me in my life, which are my children.
Oh, yeah.
It was very emotional for me to have them all there and for them to be excited and happy to be there. Although sometimes they didn't really connect with what they were saying, or
But you don't know that for sure.
well, when they're talking about the product and stuff,
Oh,
you know what I mean? That they had more connection with people's stories,
Yeah.
and they had more connection with the concert and what was offered to them, because they kept asking me, like, that's all that costs is for us to do this, this, and this, you know what I mean? And even my daughter's like, why can't I do the classes? She wanted to come back the next day to do the classes.
She's gonna be a consultant.
Did you talk when you did the survey?
We
did you
haven't done
suggest
it.
that?
We haven't done the survey yet.
Oh, you should suggest that like a certain age
Well,
group.
she's gonna write a letter
Aw,
to corporate.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
So she's gonna try and see if she can write a letter to Hiram Orville and ask if she can come participate, or if they have classes that they can conquer.
That is awesome.
That is fantastic. Inside Voices.
Christopher will want to be a part of that too. And so they better not have like an age group, because Christopher's gonna be right up there with the teenager.
Well, I will tell.
Because
Your
then it
kid is a
becomes
total
because then
exception.
it becomes babysitting.
But I will tell you that most kids aren't like Christopher.
Yeah. I know.
So
because
that
then it becomes
age,
like babysitting
Yeah.
them. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They have to be
I'm hungry,
independent.
Mom. I'm thirsty. You know what I
They
mean?
can't go to the
And
restroom, and they can't let them go to the
distracts you.
restroom by themselves.
So
At a certain age, they can't go to the restroom by themselves. You're not
Yes.
gonna let a 6-year-old wander off into the hallway of a
Exactly.
huge convention center to go to the restroom and have to come back to class.
That's right.
and you're spending a lot of money to be there to get that knowledge, and if you're not 100% there because you're watching your kids, you know what I mean? Because I'll be honest with you, as much as I loved the first night with the kids there, I wasn't able to really focus on what was being said because, Mommy, what did she say? And Mommy, I was like,
You have consultants like that too, though.
Mhm.
Which
So-
is awesome.
so your kiddos were the best part.
My kiddos were the best part.
What about you, Jeanette?
No, everything. I knew that when we were going, because I mean, obviously last year at St. Louis, I was like a bumbling mess, and everybody knows I'm like really emotional and everything. So I was really anticipating coming to reunion this year, knowing that it was going to be life changing, because it always is for me for the last couple of times. Having my husband there was like the icing on the cake for me. Having my children there, icing on the cake. But the things that really touched me personally were her and Orville and why am I getting emotional even talking about it? Her, Orville, and I mean the Sally Hogshead thing was really awesome. That was like life changing to be able to, you know, show me who I am and really set that apart. That was life changing. How other people view you and how like that gave me a freedom. So Sally Hogshead's presentation gave me a freedom, gave Jason a freedom, opened up the door of conversation for us to be able to recognize our differences and have it be celebrated instead of having it be a negative. Orville with the tree, and then Heidi with the butterfly, amazing. To be able to break that down. And what's crazy is I've always been really like in love with trees anyway. I want to have pictures with trees all over my house. Like and when he spoke about it, it was just like, it just gave me chills. Yeah, I felt like it was. But the thing that really, I think out of all of them, she really hit me the very most, Robin Benacasa. And it's because the way that I related to her was the fact that even though I am not a, you know, there's no way I would ever do what she did. Ever. Never
See, I can
could I
see
ever do
myself
that.
doing stuff like that. Because I would totally an outdoor.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to do that, but it's not like my excitement. Like people talk about, oh, why don't you come running with me? Let's get up and go running. I'm like,
That's not you.
I don't want to do that.
It wasn't about running either.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. It's just not my thing. But what she spoke to me about was her badassness. Like that speaks to me like no other. And she spoke to me when she was talking about looking forward and not looking behind. Like her story, I've shared it a few times since we got home, of, you know, when they're in the boat and they're rowing and she kept looking behind.
Yes.
And then he told her, you know, yeah, he's like, turn it around. And I just, that really just, that light bulb went on for me. And I was like, wow, I've been doing that. And since then, it's just been sitting within me going, yeah, you know, and then with the badass, I'm like, you know what? If you're not badass, it's because you're choosing not to be. This is for me personally, because I'm choosing not to be badass. And when the crap hits the fan, sorry, I don't mean to keep swearing, but when it hits the fan,
It's okay, we're not censored yet.
I know. When it hits the fan, I'm usually the one that can like whip it into shape, and I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what needs to be done. But why do I have to wait until it's like hitting the fan before it to happen?
We've talked about it.
Yeah, and so what that did, all of these coming to a head for me, has really caused me to be in the conversation of Disney World. Like that's really what I want. That's really, really what I want. And when I won that little thing with Enadina, when she did that thing, that's one of the things that I had on there.
You're the only person that calls her that. It's
I
funny.
call her Enadina.
I've never heard anybody call her.
I call her
She goes by
Enadina.
Dina.
Okay, I call her
Yours goes
Enadina.
Enadina. It's so funny.
But that, I mean, so all of this that we learned really has helped me to realize that there's a focus and there's a drive that I have to have that I never had before I went to reunion, that is going to be what's going to get me there. And if I don't get there, it's because my badassness is not around. It's not around.
Isn't that interesting, the different dynamics of everybody and the way that we all perceive, like the perspectives of ourselves and what drives us? And so let me ask you a question before I share. Does that excite you at all, the thought of our families all going to Disney World together?
Yeah, for you guys.
Yeah, she's not excited to go.
No, I mean for you and your family to share that with all of us. That's not something that.
I don't know. Maybe it just hasn't hit me yet. Maybe it's just I'm one of those people that I've got. Okay, what am I going to have to do?
Okay.
Outweigh
So
it.
you've
Because
almost like checked yourself out of like that's
Until
not
I
gonna
know
happen.
what. Well,
Once you get the structure.
She's probably fine just having a barbecue with all of us.
She's not going to Florida.
I don't know. I think it was just like that shock of, oh, we're going to Disney World. No, that's not where we're going. We're going to Nashville. You know, it was just this confusion. And then I haven't done any research on it yet. And I know we don't have anything in the workstation yet.
It
so
should be.
I just looked
I
today.
think this,
Yeah,
I've been looking every day, like every minute.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, this is gonna be like an excuse, but it's just like, I don't know if I want to work that hard
Well,
to
hey,
get there.
yeah,
I mean, just because for me, I'm like,
you're not excited about it, so
No.
why? Yeah, I get it.
That's really funny that you say that, because when I got home and I was like sharing it with my kids, I was like, that's one of the first things I said is, would you be interested in going? Yes, heck yeah. What are you willing to sacrifice? That's exactly what I said. And if, I mean, and that's with anything in life, right? So anything that you're shooting for, if it's not passionate for you and if you don't like it, then you're not gonna, you know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be anything. So for them, I was like, okay, what are you willing to sacrifice? So then they gave me their list of things that they wanted to sacrifice. And because I knew that this was like totally unattainable for us, typically,
Right.
we've been talking about Disney World for so long that it's much more for me to just go for myself, because I love Disneyland. I love me some Disneyland. I love Mickey. If I didn't have any kids, I'd still be as crazy about it as I am. But for the fact that my kids, it's like I want to cry when I think about it, because for me to be able, I keep envisioning myself getting on the plane and having them with their cute little, you know, shirts and their little lanyards and my whole family and their smiles on their face and getting on that plane and being like, we're going to Disney World, oh my gosh, you know, I mean, that to me would just be the coup de grace of everything, you know, and then also for the fact that it's really changed my family. Even, we haven't even gotten the incentive stuff yet. We haven't even gotten it, like what we're supposed to do. And it's already changed the face of my family, because now they're like all putting a little more an emphasis in helping out. Because I'm like, you need to sacrifice. There's going to be some sacrifices that are taking effect here. And what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to give up to go? You know, for my son, it's video games. How much time in your day are you going to be able to allow to help me out and do other things to free me up so I can do the business so that we can get ourselves there? So everybody together, we're all like working as a family, and it's teaching my family to come closer. It's teaching my family to work together as a family instead of just everybody just kind of be a free-for-all.
And well, you know what it's teaching is that, okay, inside voices. It's teaching kids realize that, you know what, to have good things in life, you have to work.
Yeah.
And it's not about, oh, mommy's just taking and daddy are just taking me to Disneyland and I just get on the plane. No. This is a family business. This is a family affair and a family effort.
Yeah.
And we all have to contribute, because that's the problems in most families is they teach their kids that just, you know, they do everything for them. And then by the time they become 18 years old, they're like, wait a minute, I don't know how to wash my own clothes. I don't know how to do the dishes. What medium am I talking about? You know, and so, and it's fun to me because of Scenty, like people kind of, you know, you even mentioned how you're like, oh my God, your kid puts their own toast in, and that's because of Scenty. Because I have become so independent, I want my kids to have that. I don't want my kids relying on me and feeling like, oh my God, mommy's not here or daddy's not here. I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, it gives you more time to learn about yourself, to take care of things that need to be done with yourself as well as everything else, because you're not stressing. Are they okay? Are they functioning? Are they hurting themselves? Are they not eating? Are they? Do you know what I mean? And so when they become grown adults, they're, and that's why I think life is so scary for everybody. And we make these scary decisions, and it's because we're not taught to be independent when we're young. We're taught to be dependent. And I'm just gonna always go back to society, is that I think we are trained as mothers to, you're a good mom if you whole world revolve around your children, and that's showing the world that you love your kids and you're a good mom, and that people almost frown upon. Look, I even had a consultant. Like, no.
Yes.
I've always said, if I'm not good to me, I'm not going to be good for my kids.
It's very true.
I've always said that, and that's why I divorced my first husband. You know, because I was not good anymore. I felt damaged. I was depressed. I went, before I divorced, I wasn't taking care of my kids. I wasn't bathing them. I wasn't changing them. I wasn't cooking for them. I wasn't cleaning the house. And it lasted for 8 months. And I was like, I'm done, you know.
I have a confession that I want to share. I mean, that day when I was asking you, your kids put their toast in the fridge and the toaster, part of me was like, that's awesome. But the other part was like, wow,
You thought that it was like I was a bad mom.
I didn't necessarily think you were a bad mom, but I was like, is she working too hard? Maybe she needs to be stepping up to do things in the family a little bit more.
And a lot of people would read that way.
But I'm going to tell you, my aha was reunion. And realizing that through this Disney World, and okay, so I'm not even going to put it out there that what ifs, okay? I'm not ever going to put it out there, but for the fact that it's caused me to be in the direction of looking at my family as though it's okay for me to step back now and give them to be responsible for themselves. That was never a conversation I could ever have.
You told me that
It was never a conversation I could ever have with myself, ever. Because I was so, and even Jason, that's where our struggles have come from. That's where our struggles have come from, because from day one, since I married my husband, everything has been done for him. Everything.
Why do you think that is, though? Why did you?
Because I was coming out of a relationship with my ex-husband.
It's our culture, too. It's our culture.
This is really what it is for me. For me, I was coming out of that to where I had to be in control. It was the only thing that I had in my life that I could be in control of. I couldn't be in control of anything else. But I had, because my life was out of control with my ex-husband. Completely spinning out of control. So I would put all of my control into the house is clean, the house is spotless, I'm doing this, it has to be perfect, it has to be done this way, it has to be done that way. So I set that up with my husband Jason to where we're just like, that's how we were living our life. I did everything. I still get up to this day every morning, and he appreciates it, and I love to do it, so I'm never going to stop this, but I make him lunch every single day. Lunch and breakfast every single day to go to work.
I do too.
Every day, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. But all the other things that I've done, because I'm working my business and because it is busy, it has been like this. It's been a struggle. It's been a huge struggle for me. And I've had to go back and forth and be like, am I a bad person because I'm not doing these things, because the laundry is sitting I still have a basket of clothes in my room
So do I.
that are not folded, that have been sitting there for probably almost a week. For the first time, and this is huge for me, pat me on the back, my two kids, I had Christopher and Nicholas yesterday because I was running yesterday. I gave them specific instructions. You are to separate your clothes, each of you, fold them nicely. Of course, I gave them instructions. Fold them nicely, and they're going in your drawers and being put away. Never in the history of my family have the kids ever folded their clothes.
That's one step.
Yeah.
That's huge. So it's those little things.
You realize that's why I say Scenty is a way of life, is because it's teaching us to do things that we never would have done.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so I'm now changing my mindset from that. It's like a whole new concept for me. It's a whole new concept. It's a beautiful concept because I was so stuck in that other way of thinking for so long that I hated it. I didn't realize how bad I hated it, but it was a misery that I lived with.
So share yours. I'm dying to
Yeah,
know
the fact that you said that is interesting.
Well, the night of Mitch's party, and your friend, I think Rachel.
Yeah.
No, the tall one, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Rachel, yes.
Okay.
The redhead.
Yes.
Yes.
When we were getting ready to go, she's like, well, don't you guys have kids? And I said, yeah, they're in Minnesota, and Ryan's like grandma camp. That's where they're there. And she says to me, well, do you miss them? And I said, I do now. And she goes, oh, well, how long have they been gone? And I'm thinking all of you are sitting here, and I knew you may have known when they left. And I said 3 weeks, and it was like she knew what she did. And then she's like, oh, well, that's good that you're being honest about it. And I'm like,
And we all laughed it off because I'm like, good for you, Amy.
I mean, I have been blessed to have a job where I have been able to stay home with them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have been away from them before reunion and before spring. The only time I'd ever been away was 4 days when I went on a cruise with my best friend. And that was, by that time, Aubrey was 10. She was 4, and Titus was 5. I had never had any time. Ryan and I have never had a honeymoon. We've never had, until we had the kids, we were always alone. So this was a big deal for me, and I felt like I'm not calling anybody out. I don't know if you guys do this or not, but I see people on Facebook all the time, and they've been away from their kid for a day, and they're like, oh, I missed her so much. And I'm like, bullshit. I'm sorry. No.
breakthrough.
You're putting an act. That's what I feel like.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
putting an act on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I am not that way.
Yeah.
I did not once say anything about the kids being away in Minnesota. I never once said anything about missing them until that night. And that's because I was studying the period and I had a really shitty day at work. And I was just like, that's finally when it hit me. I'd only talked to him twice and I'm about to cry.
Yeah.
But you know, I felt like,
And
I
they're in
said
good
it before.
hands. They're with your
Exactly.
family.
And you feel
See,
secure
me,
with them.
I can't
Yes.
wait to ship my boys out to Boy Scouts. And I don't even know who's gonna be there. I just know the boys that are gonna be there, they're leaders. They probably just have 5 or 6 people they really know, and they're all in the wilderness. And they went,
So what kind of trouble can they get into?
well, they got shotgun training this last one.
Oh my God.
They came back with sore shoulders because they had unlimited shooting.
Oh my God. Oh, wow.
So like I was just like, I know I wasn't concerned, and I think I'm happy. I want my kids to
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
I want them to live. I want them. I tell my kids, go to school out of state. If you don't go to school out of state, join the military. If you don't join the military, you have to go live in a country for a year. I'll support you. Go live in another country for a
Yes.
year
Yes.
before you decide what you want to
See,
do.
it's funny because Brian and I have talked about that too, and we said once our kids graduate, go to college, or they join the military, or they get out of the house and they learn how to live on
That
their
was
own.
Mitch's parents, what they said
Yeah.
to him too.
Mhm.
No, I don't want them to get out of the house and just be slumming it in an apartment somewhere with 5 other people. If they're going to experience
Yeah,
life.
job or
So the options are go to school, military, or go live in another country. I don't care what country you wind up in, but go live in another country for a year. And I'll support you for that 1 year. But after that, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But I want them to go experience and do.
That's awesome.
And I said, if you don't do it, I have every single receipt of everything I've ever spent for you. Boy Scout camp books, shoes, watches, whatever it is that you wanted, and I will give you an invoice.
Yeah.
So,
That is awesome.
So pick one. You got 3 options.
but it's so true. It's like people, I mean, I can tell you this right now there, and I think I've shared this with, I know I've told you, I think, I don't know if I've told you ladies, but this business has made me realize how, I think that, again, moms think we think we have to be a certain way with our kids and society. And this one person, literally, because it was when I was first back here to Vegas and I was still doing the Monday calls every Monday, and Monday practice was like at 6 o'clock. So I was still finishing up. It was from 5 to 6, my training calls. And so I'd be in the car for like 10 minutes into the thing, finishing them up, every baseball thing. And then on Saturdays, I always had my earpiece in listening to Saturday calls. And she always was just always rubbing like.
This was the
just-
baseball mom.
Yes, just very,
You did tell me.
whatever, you know what I mean? And I, to this day, am so like envious of her, because a lot of people would call themselves out like that, be like, I really misjudged you. But I've had this happen. A lot of people just assume that I don't care about my kids, or she just wants to go on a trip, and they don't realize that being in a leadership position, it's not, there's no way to be about you. If I could go on
That's
a
a
cruise,
responsibility.
It is huge.
like that can really, people can look at it as like, you and I got a promotion, which gave you points to give you this trip, and you're gonna say I don't need to go on it because I was just in Greece last year. Like, who, you know what? Like, really? Also, it's an obligation of showing that this is something that you could be having. Also, is that saying that just because I'm a mom, I don't deserve to have do you know what I mean?
No, but that is such a persona out there, because I'm not gonna lie, with you guys talking about, not missing your kids and stuff, this is how I know that I'm not completely out of that, like, that control freak. Seriously, because as excited as I am for my kids to go, I cry. I have a hard time with them
What
even
is it,
spending the
though?
night.
Because
What is it
But
though?
the thing is, there's one thing that will always remain and will never change. You will always be their mother, regardless
Yes.
if they're gone for a month, regardless if they're
But that
gone
is
for
like
2
a
days.
deep-seated thing that I'm still working on with myself.
But
you know
what
I'm
is
saying?
it when something's going? What is
I just
fear? What is
love
the-
being around them.
Well, I mean,
I for some reason, no, don't get me wrong. The first night is hard, but then after the second and third night, I'm like, oh, heck no, I
I
don't
think
want
it's
to
a
go back
control
home.
issue for you.
It is. It's exactly what it is.
Because
well,
you're
when
not
you
in
think
control
yeah,
of your
you don't
kids.
know people
That's
are taking care of
exactly
your
what it
kids
is.
the way. Mitch and I are like that.
But-
my kids aren't. Well, my kids have never spent the night at anybody's house before, except for his
amazing.
mother's.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's funny because I don't let them go to people's houses very often.
Yeah.
Like it's a really hard thing. Like for example, when Chris went with Allie to go to the thing,
Yeah.
a little bit of me was just like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. But it wasn't because I wasn't comfortable with you. It was because my own insecurity, my own control freakiness. My mother is never. When he's gone over to stay with my sister-in-law's house, this is blood.
Yeah.
My husband's brother.
Uh-huh.
I'm like freaked out. I'm freaked out.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. To be honest with you, the situation I was telling you with that Mitch and I went through, I created a lot of anxiety. I got a lot of anxiety, and
It's something I'm working through.
when you think about people, you know, who can you really trust?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are they gonna?
Well, and maybe that has something to do with what I've been through a little bit too. I don't know. Maybe
I
that
think
could.
so.
I don't know. But
that
I
has
just,
to do with me.
Yeah.
It's with me.
Yeah.
Is it people you think you could trust, you sometimes can't, and
I have to make sure that my kids turn on the oven because I need to get lunch to my husband.
Yeah, I've got to be going through
Okay,
here.
so real quick on that, letting your kids go, I was just gonna say, when my daughter says to me, Mom, can I spend the night at my friend's house? I'm like, how many nights can you stay?
Because your kids are older, I think people kind of look at that as like, oh yeah, you need the break.
Yeah.
And because mine are only, she just turned 8 and 9, I feel like I don't take them to the museum. When they were in Minnesota, they saw
went. Oh yeah.
they saw the Minions movie twice. They saw Inside Out for a second time because we had watched it here. They were going out. They went
Doing
to the zoo. They were
things. They were
doing
having
things. I'm like,
fun.
I can't do that right now. And something on a totally different topic we'll have to talk about later is I'm looking for a new job. And it's not. I have not said anything about it. It's just one of those things. So now when you're saying
Hopefully this
all of
video
this-
doesn't go viral.
yeah. When you're saying all of this about the whole driving thing, my mind started turning, and I'm like, I wonder if I could get into a job that would be along those lines.
oh my gosh.
Administrative, I have to drive over to the racetrack or something. That would be something. But
Cool.
thank
Blank
you.
slate. Blank slate.
Wow.
One
Creation.
of those other cues because the day that was Mitch's birthday party, I pissed off at my boss because of something she said to me and something she did. And it was at that point, I mean, I've been praying. This is something I've been praying about. And I'm like, all right, I can't do it anymore. I can't keep this up anymore. So that was the night I started my resume. The day and a half later, I went to a job fair. I mean, I had to talk to my old boss, who was the owner where I worked. And it was the hardest thing for me to do, to message her and say, can I use you as a reference? And I said, I'm just updating my resume. She doesn't work for the company anymore. She's
Beware.
not there.
Beware of something right now. You're praying on it. You're asking for direction. Get ready.
I've
Get
already
ready.
had one of the people already called me back, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. So.
All of us have donuts.
Well, we're getting ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know.
So-
Troy's gonna want some too.
So yeah, that's a whole other subject for another
No, but I'm
time.
just saying because I did
you're
exactly.
you.
That's awesome.
It wasn't me. It was all of us, and it's you, not me. It's you. And that's the most important thing is just making sure you tap into what it is that excites you because we forget.
Well, and that's the thing too, is I've been with this company since 2001.
Yeah.
And I'm doing
Forget,
the
we get
same thing
comfortable.
but at the same time. And I told Ryan, I said, maybe I don't want to go back into administrative. That's what I'm good at. But maybe I want to be hands-on doing this.
Maybe you want to be a mechanic.
True.
Hey, 7-Eleven is hiring.
There you
That's
go.
so awesome. You're gonna be like on posters, all hot chick, all friggin' everybody's gonna be like,
Amy.
I need to get my oil change, honey. Sorry,
Seriously.
Did you get it changed like yesterday?
I mean,
Yeah, we gotta go back because.
I mean, hey.
I've been. We've changed transfer cases on the Hummer that we've had. I've done the oil.
I'm getting chills you talking about this because this is pure creation right now. This is creation in the works. And this is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Let me say something. This is why this is the most important thing in life is
That's
connection.
right. That's right.
We need connection so we can all feed off each other
And camaraderie.
find.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is, honestly. And the people, they say out of sight, out of mind. When there's no connection, you lose direction. to be honest with you.
Actually,
That's why you
all
need
three of
friends.
us. You need us just much as we
We're
need
gonna go
you.
have some lunch. No, did you wish she said Troy wants donuts? So she's
No,
gonna take
I
the rest of
don't.
the donuts
I
home.
don't mean taking all of them. I mean all three of them.
Leaving them a half a crumb?
No, we're just gonna have
What do you think Troy would say?
all Buzz, me, and
Titus.
They'll be
Do you
fun. Do you want
That's
to?
okay.
Do you want a
No.
twisty? Like you guys can share a twisty.
I just like that.
Whenever I can get
Do you
my
want to
hands
close
on
this up right now?
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. How about
Go ahead, Amy.
What do you want me to say? I don't know
Whatever
what to
comes
say.
to your heart.
All right, well, that's our conversation for today.
Go out
Have a great day. Have a great weekend.